Alana Vandeveer here. Said that right, finally.
Thank you, Tommy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Broker, real estate, coach. Jeez, the list goes on and on and on, right?
Yeah, I do a lot. Got it mostly out of politics, best I could. But yeah, real estate, commercial real estate strictly, no residential. So, but I do, if people have residential needs, I do have very good agents that I send it to, only the best in South Florida.
So the politics got you, huh?
It didn't get to me. I mean, I was 7 when I first got introduced to it.
7 years old?
Yeah, my dad went he ran for Senate.
Wow.
The first time when I was 7. So we were out door knocking.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was fun. It was a family affair. You know, all of us kids were in it. Door knocking was fun, you know, pancake breakfast, you know, meeting a lot of people, seeing how it's done. But once he retired, we're all like, no more, please, God. Like, not even. And then all of a sudden, it's government started taking over more. And you're like, oh, once you know. You kind of got to get involved. So,
like the Senate?
He was in the state House first for, I think, like 10 years, and then the state Senate for 6 years or so.
What's he think about all this shit?
He's the same principled guy he always was. He's like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming. He's very conservative in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And we saw extremities before it was cool, or, what they call cool. So they're pretty liberal up there. And, we weren't really surprised, but you kind of see it coming when they start taking more and more and start, giving less and taking more, and people get confused.
Yeah, that's right. Minnesota's liberal, right? Liberal.
Oh, it's blue. It's
like
blue.
Pennsylvania. We're from Pennsylvania, and they're liberal up there too.
Yeah, it's close to California on this scale.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it goes left. They go real left.
But you don't hear much about Minnesota. You don't hear much about
There's not much
anything crazy.
Well,
is it the plague like Pennsylvania? You get stuck there and nothing ever changes?
I still went up there every summer for family, and the seasons are gorgeous, so once my immediate family moved down, like last summer I was up there for 3 weeks, and I'm like, it's not feeling it. It wasn't really for me. I'm too high energy. My family, I come from 250 of them live up there. So I have like a ton of cousins, so I kind of jump around for a couple weeks and then come back to Florida now.
I bet you get a lot of presents for birthdays.
No. Talk to them about it. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, did you see Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are getting married again?
Yeah, they did already.
She left A-Rod.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I
That's
heard
old
that.
news, man.
That was way old news.
Sorry, I just saw it. Jesus, A-Rod, he must want to shoot himself, right?
Yeah, he's moved
I
on.
thought that was over for a long time.
Yeah, he's moved on.
Yeah,
maybe I'm
they've
behind
all
the
moved.
times. How many times has she been married?
I have no idea. I don't.
Is it like
She married him twice.
Is it like 6, I think?
I'm not into the tabloids.
I want to say it's like 6.
I don't
It's
know.
on 6. I'm going to shoot for 7. No, I'm kidding. No, I've never been married. I don't know how that goes.
Don't run fast.
From who I've talked to, it looks like a really good time.
Oh, yeah. How much alimony he's probably fucking paying? The other 3?
Yeah.
Both of them been married a pile of times.
Yeah.
So you're in Minnesota, you go to school, and right out of high school, you go for your appraisal license, right?
Actually, before I even got out of high school, I was taking the classes because that's what I thought I wanted to do. My dad owned a appraisal business, outside of politics. It was appraisal, it was real estate, and, both investments and sales and appraisals. So I told him too, I go, Dad, I want to go into real estate. And he goes, no, it's going to crash. Just flat out. He's real monotone, right to the point. And I go, yeah, I just don't want to go to school. And he goes, yeah, you're going to school because it's going to crash. And sure as hell, the next year it crashed pretty bad. It hit Florida first. You remember that whole deal, 07 time, 06, 07. So I didn't sign up for college. So like a month before it started, I went in and I'm like, yeah, I got to take some classes, because I promised I'd do it. And I went to what's called the Anoka Ramsey, this community college, because I just didn't sign up for it anyway, right? Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to go. So I just marched in there, and I got a funny story about that in a little bit. But yeah, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I went for business at Concordia for a little bit, and I started taking classes, and it was a business program, and the teacher's like, okay, we're going to do this project, and I'm like, oh, good, this is great. I want to expand my uncle's grocery stores. And I get this all put together, and I, share with the class what I'm going to do. And she goes, no, that's too much. That's way too much for this thing. And I go, I'm out. And I left. I left the program. I'm like, screw you guys. Like, come on, make it real world. And she didn't. So, Yeah,
Forced
she
not.
discouraged it from the second. I'm like, well, that sounds like an F anyway, so I'm just going to get out of this class.
And then you went to college for political science.
Yep, and then political. Well, because that was the easiest. Again, I did not like. It wasn't like I loved learning. I couldn't sit in class. I mean, you can see from even now, I'm just really energized. So it was kind of a mutual agreement with me and my teachers. Is look, I won't come if you don't dock me for not being here. Would get the syllabus, do all my homework, show up for exams. Show up for exams as they came up. But in the first couple of weeks, knock out all the homework, but show them I was serious. I don't come in.
Yeah, you should have just drove them nuts, like just drive them absolutely crazy. So they're like, hey, just stay home.
They would dock me a grade, and I'd be like, all right, I'm coming in. I'd sit there.
Like, oh no, we're changing the grade.
Yeah, he's like, well, I mean, if you want to just turn in everything, and I'm like, okay. I didn't try either. It was just naturally like, oh, there's no, right in the middle of class, just bam, it wasn't even discipline. It was just my personality. And it was all through school. I mean, my busy experience, which made me hate the education system, and this was actually, I went to 4 different schools, private. Charter was my favorite by far.
Why?
And we had a lot of people that were, very brilliant, but they didn't really, in the regular public school, it was more one-on-one. It was more understanding of the different learning of, how people learn. And then I really kind of got into learning more there. Despite still having a hard time in class, I was kicked out every day. I got kicked out of the principal's office.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I would go down there, and then I would say something, make them mad, and she'd be like, "Get out!" And I go, I'd walk out and be like, "Where do I go?"
I'm with it.
I would go in the hallway.
You're fitting in real good here with us. I got in school.
Yeah, and I'd go in the hallway and read a psychology book, and I was fine with that. But as soon as I get around people, you're really excited, and I would just be like, this is great, party time.
My mom found a way to get a job when I was in high school because I kept getting detention for stupid shit in school, like just stupid, pointless shit. So somehow I walked in and she got a job as an attendance lady to make sure I was
you
there.
were there, yeah.
But I was always not ever there. So she would always help me out, knock me off, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I think I used to be towards the end of school. They got me in trouble once, and I told the behavior specialist, I'm like, look, and it embarrassed my mom too because we went here and there's all these really bad kids at the thing they sent me to for being tardy. And I got back to school the next day, and I'm like, what was that? She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. The behavior specialist apologized to me. I'm like, you know what? You'd be way better at encouraging good students than you are at disciplining bad ones. And she was like so nice to me after that. She was like, yeah, you do great. We just want you to get A's. And I'm like, I get B's. I'm confused
fucking A's.
with B's. Is that not good enough for you guys?
That's why it's so tough. They have this school choice. I think Ron DeSantis had signed here because not everybody excels in a public school.
No.
Everybody's different, right? Learning differences. And just because a kid doesn't do good in public school, like, oh, he's stupid, he's this, he's that. No, he just doesn't learn it that.
Well, look at Einstein. They called him an idiot, too. And it's like, well, there's your nuclear bomb, smart ass.
Yeah, you're correct. That kind of worked out for him.
But DeSantis does a great job. Yeah. I mean, just all around, but especially education. I appreciate it. Because I'm like, fix the education system. Me firsthand, that was bullshit you sent me through there. Like, that wasn't fair. And I always wanted to do business, real estate. Like, I was... In 5th grade, my dad asked him for money, and we weren't not well off, but he would not give us anything. You earn it.
He was old school like our father. Like if you want money, you got to work for it.
Exactly. Save your allowance, get a job.
I went to shit, huh?
Yeah. So I know what the hell. I know I'm watching people. I'm like, so we're just getting checks now.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Dad.
Enough.
Oh, you paid for my school loans?
No, we're paying for your fucking school.
I wish the government was my dad.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You get away with murder.
It's terrible.
Literally.
No, but anyway, so he says no. I go to the store with my mom and I buy a bunch of tangy taffies and I'm sitting here selling them every day. I didn't hire, but my cousin ahead of me and a grade below me are selling them too, and I'm making a ton of money. So I have like $50, $100 a week for a kid in 5th grade is a lot from starting from 50 cents, and I'm not taking the bus home. I'm going up to the grocery store, buying boxes of tangy taffies. I always bought more cherry because they sold faster. And grapes didn't. So I'd get like 2, and then I'd walk home with like 3 grocery bags. The owner's shaking my hand. I get to school one day, and I only did it after school on the bus. And, well, my cousins handled the bus because I would go get more goods after it sold out. So I would do it, in the hallway, recess, never during class. And all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's my teacher. It's like, Lana, come with me. And I'm like... hang on just like this big busy time, just like right now. And one of the moms saw me selling the candy and said, Alana's stealing from the kids.
Oh, God.
So that, my teacher was really nice about it for the most part, but she took everything from me. And she's like, can't be doing this here. And I'm like, please tell me why. And I actually asked her if it was because I wasn't paying taxes. And I'm like, because I will, I'll get there. You know? And because I was, you know, I grew up, we were in you know, we knew kind of how this, you know, whatever. And she actually flat out said to me, she goes, no, you can't be doing it because it doesn't benefit the whole school.
Oh, give me a break.
And from that day, I'm like, Dad, I don't like socialism. Like, I understood the concept of it is that's a terrible thing. Especially they say you're stealing. I'm not. I'm busting my ass. Nobody else was going to get more material after school. You know, nobody was not, you know, having fun at recess. I was working.
Just imagine being in a communist country.
Oh, no, I mean, I did. That was really murderous for me because I read books on Levi Strauss and I was very loving entrepreneurs. I was born an entrepreneur. And that's why I like commercial real estate, because I get to see people start businesses, grow businesses, you know.
And watch it grow, too.
And watch it grow without having me have to start it. And I see, you know, how excited they get. And it's just, I can be there with them, you know. Just.
I had a fucking lemonade stand when I was a kid, and then snow cone, and then nice. Soprano DVDs, because I would have the season early. Yeah. So I would break them. You know, I remember you used to be able to burn DVDs. Oh, yeah. So I would burn each show because I would have the series before it came out. Nice. So then I was selling the series and shit to get out of work. The one job I did have. This podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy. This episode is brought to you by Fiji. More than just water.
This is not just rock. It's ancient volcanic rock that filters tropical rain, giving it double the electrolytes and its signature soft, smooth taste. It's not just water. It's Fiji water.
Again, that's FijiWater.com/MSCS, $5 off and free shipping. At Hershey Medical Center. She was an Italian lady, and I would give her Soprano DVDs. She'd look the other way, and I'd go to the gym, fuck off all day.
We used to shovel sidewalks from the snow and get cash. Kids don't even do that anymore.
No, I mowed lawns after I got cut off. Yeah. Sold the oven mitts. We'd make them ourselves. I mean, I didn't know what to do after Tanny Taffy got shut down. So then I got into what else did I mean, every DVD burners. We used to buy them by the pallet in college. Sell them individually, buy laptops, reboot them, sell them individually on Craigslist. I mean, that's what. And then we ended up going to China to do fitness stuff. That's a long story. We won't even get into that.
Remember you used to print the cover to the label on the DVD?
Oh, yeah, for the DVD.
Yeah, and then you put it in, and it would stick right on it.
Yeah.
The actual, so it came in a case, like an external burner. We would take them out and sell them as an internal burner, just that. Like just the piece so I bought them for like 50 cents a piece. I sold them for around 25. Damn. Yeah. Like a pallet of them. Yeah.
You were pumping them out early.
Yeah, we weren't messing around. No.
So now when you take political science, what the hell do they teach you in political science? That sounds like the most boringest class.
State and local
universe.
Politics. I was, if I went, international politics was a disaster. Yeah, I'm not a big feminist. I'm not this teacher, there was a lot going on. We won't get into too much of the material that they teach you, but I did a lot of independent studies. That's where majority of my credits came from, because my dad was down there. I would run a campaign. I would interview lobbyists, the governor of Dayton at the time, senators, and just that's what I did for credits majority of the time. So that was nice that they had that option in the program. Actually, it probably saved me from actually finishing, because I was like, this is just one more class. I wanted to go to law school, but I'm like, there's no way. Like, if I'm getting in arguments with my international...
That's good, though. That's good, because you want to argue like hell as a lawyer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was good. I was very good at debate, but just the whole politics thing, it never ends. It never... I mean, seeing a business start and, getting paid for it and being passionate about what you're doing is one thing, but having to constantly fight to, like, just the next thing, it's just this...
Stress.
Now it's too emotional. It's like, we're not even on subjects anymore. This is, like, mental health issues.
Yeah.
So that... was kind of a turnoff too. I mean, you don't really go into politics. It's a civic duty in the United States of America to be involved. I think everybody should be involved, no matter what party you're in. Just get involved rather than just expect people to do things for you.
See, I hate that. I hate that red-blue because it's just like a separate. But that's what they want. They want diversity. You know, why not just run and whoever is the best you vote for, and boom.
Yeah, I kind of like.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the two-party idea of where you hash something out. You have people that are, you know, bringing people to people on your side and then hash out the best solution for it. Hopefully it takes longer than they have been doing it because they didn't think
Well, if we were like responsible, rational politics in there, then great. You have a red and a blue. But when you got these morons, you might as well just put them all out there.
When did you see, since you were raised with politics, when did you see like a change, meaning, you know, it seemed like years ago, even if you were a Democrat or Republican, yeah, you didn't agree on everything and you're not supposed to. But you can come to a common ground and have a conversation and say, okay, when did you see the change where it seemed like it's just no either way? Like, no matter what, it's no.
Well, really what happened, I think, is the way information can travel. Like, I used to watch my dad up in the balcony, and one time this bill came across that was unconstitutional, and he was telling him on the floor beforehand that, look, if you send this through, just so you know, the courts will say no because it's unconstitutional. And they're like, no, it's not. You know, and they told him it's not publicly on the floor. Then they took a short recess, and 3 of them, the Democrats, went around him and said, hey, you're right, we're going to take it out. But they didn't want it on the air of the session floor. So, and I got pissed. So, you know, I took care of that in a different way. It was actually really funny. I sent them notes and stuff when one of the senators started crying, and she's like, I feel like people are watching me. And I'm like, yeah, they're watching you. Like, you're a public person.
Yeah, correct.
On the floor.
Yeah.
Like, are you nuts? But now people are acting surprised. Like, we got to debate this. Yeah, you're supposed to debate it. You don't just silently pass this stuff through, and they're getting found out. Now it's just getting real gamey is what it is. Like,
it's so messy.
However they can get it through the speed in creating a crisis. I've seen a lot more crises than I did growing up. When in the number one way for reform, unfortunately, is creating a crisis. People are distracted. They don't know what's going on. So you create a crisis, reform it, and it's so much harder to get freedom back than it is to hold on to it. Once it's gone, it's gone. And once you find out it's gone, it's too late. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and you look at, like, I always think, like, about, like, when they have a bill, right? Let's just pretend, you know, there was a natural disaster. Well, that might be a little different. But let's just say there's some funding that they're going to give for business owners, right? And then in that bill or in that whole thing, there's all sorts of like, yeah, well, we're going to give like $1 million for pig research in China, and then this.
Quite literally,
like,
pork belly.
Where the hell did that come from? Like, what? Like, it's totally not. And then they'll be like, they'll say, you don't want to help the people out. Like, yeah, we actually do, but you put this shit in here.
Like,
they
do
what?
That. It's called pork barreling, but they all try and sneak stuff in there. But if you read Obamacare, I mean, what was that, 1,400 pages? I chucked it across the library. I was in college at the time it came out. And I'm like, there's no way. I mean, the pork barreling and that thing, the weird, like, all of a sudden left field stuff that had nothing to do with healthcare that they shoved in there.
He was just such a fucking slick talker. That dude could talk. He could talk. If you were gullible, he could talk. He might be the best talker I've ever heard.
He was good. I'll give him that.
Especially
Roosevelt
when he first rolled. Yeah, Roosevelt was really good too.
Yeah. So, but they're both bad, I think, personally.
But I'll tell you what, Obama went in looking one way and came out looking another way. Trump's the only guy, and maybe Reagan, that went in and came out and still looked the same.
Yeah.
Obama looked like he aged about 50 years, right? He went in with dark, full head of hair. He's got gray.
Bald and gray.
Guy, his razor's going bad. He's got an $80 million house from all that money that he shipped over there. That plane. I would have got life for that.
What's the average salary? What's the salary on a president?
$400,000 a year.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. But he lives in a $25 million mansion, private jet.
Nothing to see here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, funny during the Obama administration too in school, just because of all the FBI stuff and Fed stuff going on. I was in Spanish class, and I'm sitting there, and they, my teacher said that there's a big shooting or something in Mexico, and I don't know why, but I was bored, so I go down to the computer lab, and I'm sitting there typing, printing stuff off, and I went to see my dad at the Capitol, and I'm standing on the stairs talking to somebody out of the Republican Party that was visiting there, and I stopped to talk to him, and I look over, and this black car pulls up to mine, grabs stuff out of the back seat, and leaves, and both of us saw it, and I go, did you see that? That's my car. Like, that's my car right there. And he goes, yeah, do you know those guys? I'm like, no, I don't know those guys. This is the first time I ever told the story, except for the 4 people that, would be private about it. But then I go back to school the next day for Spanish, and I run to the teacher and the principal's or in the computer lab, the same one I was in. I turn over and it's out of service. The computer's gotten the whole hard drive thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is super funny. So I talked to another friend who, used to be in the service of vet, and I'm like, why would they do that? Like, do you think I'm in trouble? Like, or what the heck is going on? And they're like, no, they're just probably trying to protect you or something. I'm like, I don't know. A few months later, the Border Patrol guy was shot, the ICE guy down in Mexico.
Oh,
So
yeah.
all the shit I was printing was stuff related to what became Fast and Furious, Operation Fast and
Oh,
Furious.
shit.
So I was doing wide receiver. I was looking up articles on who was, like the Attorney General, like each, kind of agency. And I was a political science student. Anybody would be intrigued by that. But
At least you didn't get raided.
So that was, that's what I was. I was like, at least you guys got warrants. No. All right, no more talking about it. No, that's the first time I told him, but that was funny. I was like, gee,
But
it's
just
nuts.
It's nuts.
But it goes to show that when you learn about what's actually going on, it's usually too late. So you kind of want to be up on the up. If you're an American trying to withhold our Constitution, republic, because that is what we are, you have to be involved. You can't just stand out in the woods and hope they don't come get you. They're going to come. Somebody's going to come get you, and say, get to work.
Well, I think
not get to work, but
I think too, like people like. I had a good conversation with my buddy. I like to talk politics and just hear his opinions. My opinions are pretty close. I may go a different way on some things, but we were talking about the abortion issue, and that's a huge one, right? Everybody talks about abortion, right? And the woman's right to choose and all that type of stuff. But he said basically, you're right. He goes, but the Supreme Court didn't technically say abortion's illegal, right? They said that the states have under the Constitution have the right to choose whether they want to have it legal, I guess, basically in their state or not. But everybody threw it at the Supreme Court and was like, you guys, but it wasn't that. It was they gave the states, that's according to the Constitution, the right to do it. Yeah. So if California wants to say, no, we're going to have it legal here, great. California has it legal. If Arkansas says no, then they say no. But just having that conversation is interesting to talk about. People don't, though, and they just see the headline, and that's where... it's
almost like, do they want to know?
Yeah.
Like they want to be mad.
It's just like such a mess.
But it's like talk to your local. It's almost easier. Talk to your local, representative about it. You don't need to be mad at the Supreme Court. Actually, it works out. People got mad at Trump too for putting it on the states to handle their business. Like the open up, do whatever you're going to do. I thought that was brilliant.
So did I.
And look at how it turned out. We can see exactly, and they didn't want that either. Probably because you can see what economies are doing good, what's not, and how they manage that whole situation and how it turned out. And it's like,
what did you see what the governor? I think it was the governor of New York just said. The lady who's in there now.
What did he say?
Said,
Abrams?
No, not Abrams. From New York. She took over for Cuomo or whoever was up.
Oh,
there.
Cuomo.
I
knew
whoever
what
the
talking about.
She said that.
Can't wait to hear this one.
All you Republicans that are in New York, you need to move to Florida.
They are.
And I was like,
they're all here.
I was like,
everybody I know from New York.
I was like,
there.
they have it. I'm like, wow, what a way to kill your state economy. What a great way to kill it.
Yeah. They're already here. We can get into my profession a little bit, commercial real estate. It's nuts. I mean, it is not, it's more a supply, it's supply and demand that we're seeing down here. It's not running in a market analysis and this, like where in Florida is like, just what are you going to pay for it? What do you want to sell it for?
Yeah.
Kind of what we're coming down to in the first bidder. Like I'm talking to other brokers more than I am searching because it's like, let me know as soon as this comes out, or if you get wind of, a new restaurant, just a daycare. Like we're looking for everything all the time. There's nothing on the market. But
do you see a lot of like businesses that were in New York and they've basically taken their entire business and said, fuck you, and we're coming here and now opening up those great restaurants that they have over there, right?
No, it's exactly what
a friend of mine sold his place like down in Times Square for like 1.6. Mm-hmm. He came down here, got a nice place for $900K, and he's opening up, I told you about it, he's opening up a taco pizza place.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me that.
So it's a taco joint.
Like street tacos?
I don't know how he's going to do it. I was like, how are you going to do it? He goes, I can't tell you. I go, you don't even know how you're going to do it yet. You're just trying to fit in with the taco bullshit.
No, we'll go street tacos. I love street tacos. Authentic.
So where do you see the most people come from? Obviously New York, right?
I think, on this coast, I would say the East Coast, New York, it runs up. It's kind of the same concept as it's always been. And then on the Gulf, Minnesota, Wisconsin, a lot of Minnesotans are dipping out of there too. I've noticed, and I have the baby boomers or whatever, but we're seeing a lot more younger people too, and people that are moving their businesses before they retire. So it is interesting, but I would say on this coast, definitely New York, all those states.
I was reading that like 89 restaurants in downtown LA or in LA closed.
Oh, Minnesota, like what? I
You
can't
guys
give a
must have got
percentage.
crushed, right?
I mean, it was, or was that the national? I mean, it was like 1 out of 3. So I don't want to say without confidence, but yeah, it was bad. It was and that's what Minneapolis was really good for, was the restaurants, because there's nothing to do in the winter. We just ate.
And the mom and pop restaurants are always the best.
Oh, they're the best. And the hole in the walls, so to speak. Those are my favorite authentic.
Me too.
Yeah, that's where a lot of my favorite restaurants were in Minnesota. I don't think, a lot of Florida ones, no offense to my friends, but they're not as good as Minnesota ones. Like I don't know, it's like it's all they did.
You know what somebody told me? I don't know if this is true or not, but so Guy Fieri, the guy, diners, dive-ins, and drives, he lived in California. He probably has a few houses, but I think he had a house in California. He still lives there. But he bought a house here, somewhere in Lake Worth, somewhere here. It's close. He bought a house, and they said he moved here because his show, granted he still travels to all the states, but with all the people moving here and with all the different, we have restaurants galore. I mean, I always said, like, there's so many different choices to eat around here. But that because of that, he's like, I might as well live right there, and then it's just hop, chip, and jump away to do the shows. So it's kinda, that's what someone told me, if that's true or not, but it makes sense.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Last thing, then I'll get off the politics.
Yeah, please.
What do you think about why would they hire 81,000 or however many thousand IRS agents? I thought maybe.
Really? I was kidding.
Sorry.
I know. I mean,
I thought maybe because they're going to go after Bitcoin.
Possible. They want to hit Venmo up, all those things. I think what is it? 1 in 600 houses now, you'll have an agent. I wouldn't even joke, but it's communist. They want your money, and they're going to get it, one way or another. They think that people cheat the tax system, even though they don't know how to spend the money, which is disgusting. But they want your money, and they want every cent that they can get out of you.
So they'll go after the person who makes $120K and didn't pay $5,000 4 years ago.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll each have our own agents. It'll be nice.
Hey, you want to come over for dinner tonight?
You got Jim too? Yeah, Jim's good.
How much do I owe you this month? Oh, okay.
I could just see that shit. The other thing I don't understand about them is the marijuana thing. Yeah. You got all these states where it's legal, but I know my friend just went back. He did 7 years for marijuana. 7 years for oil. All he had was marijuana. He just violated probation. Now he's going and doing 2 more years.
Oh, 2 years.
Yeah, they gave Vinny 2 fucking years.
Something where they let him go now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they don't. They
didn't let anybody go.
I mean, what would
like
the opposite of being godfathered? Kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He got 2 years for that.
He got 2
That's
years.
Crazy.
That's
I don't.
bullshit.
But it's just crazy that there's people doing 10. This episode is sponsored by Let's Get Checked. Are you the man your father was? Recent studies have shown that men's testosterone levels are dropping substantially since the 1980s at about an average of 1% per year. Low testosterone can have all types of health effects. It can affect your muscle mass, memory, mood, sex drive, you name it. And yes, low testosterone is more common the older you get, but can affect men at any age. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. They're a worldwide leader in at-home testing kits, and their male hormone test lets you easily test your testosterone levels at home. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in a discreet packaging with next-day delivery. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available to you in your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. These results are reviewed by a clinician, and a member of Let's Get Checked nursing team may call you to review your results. Let's Get Checked laboratories are CLIA approved and CAP accredited, which is the highest ranking levels of accreditation. So, if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com/MSCS. Special offer for MSCS media viewers. Use promo code MSCS at checkout and get 30% off your test. The link is in the description below at the top. 15 years for marijuana.
I think they should look into that. I suppose they look at it, if you broke the law, you're a lawbreaker, maybe, mentality. But at the same time, it's like, if what you didn't know then is now knowledge now, so why are you?
Right.
Why are they locked up?
If it's nonviolent and there was no gun and you just got hit with weed. I know a guy that got 15 years for 1 ounce of weed. It was like 20 sales, right? He was in California. And it was like 20 sales. It equivalated to like an ounce and a half. He got 15 years. He went to get out, and they wouldn't give him clemency.
Jeez.
He didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't have a suit and tie and open up his own place. That's why now that's legal.
We're
It's
too worried
crazy.
about green shit.
As far as there's not like an attorney going around to like get people out of jail for marijuana stuff. I don't know anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are, but then when it goes to the courts, it's still federally a Schedule 1.
That's true. Yeah,
it's a
federal
Schedule
law.
1
That's why
equivalent to heroin.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I thought the Dems too would try to redeem themselves after the last
Well,
couple of years
they said
by
that they were
making it legal or do it, but they probably are like, how can we get the most money out of this before we do it? We got to really hammer this out, guys. They're big.
Well, he ran on that. Biden ran on that. He was going to let people out for nonviolent crimes that were just, drugs, and that he was going to federally legalize marijuana. And it stands as a 1, and everybody's still in the private jails where they make a ton of money.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't something they tried to bust out before the end. Well, they're probably maybe the next presidential election, but they're going to try and maximize on how much money they can get out of that. That's probably why it was legal in the first place. They couldn't figure out how to tax it. Now that we're just going to have an automatic marijuana tax at every house just in case you're growing. There you go. Oh, shit. Don't give them ideas.
Don't give them any ideas.
Everybody has an automatic marijuana tax. It's $4.20.
So everybody knows like what an appraiser is, but what is an appraiser, being that you've been through all that?
So okay.
Because you have like say my house type of an appraiser and then commercial appraiser. Is there a difference?
There is, yes. We do 3 different approaches in the market analysis, sales comparison, like the I'm like thinking capitalize. You find the cap rate, and then oh my gosh, I can't even think right now. And then like the cost replacement. It's way more intense than a residential one. A residential one has a roof. It has it has this many bedrooms, square footage, things like that. It's kind of a checklist. I did commercial appraising for a year and a half, and I was in there 85 hours a week, just losing my mind. But I love the analysis side of things, like the numbers. It's a great job for an accountant, I like to say, because it's 70% behind a desk, 30% out in the field going to look at the property. And I did not like the desk work. So like a typical commercial appraisal would be 80 to 150 pages depending on it.
True. So
we do like an apartment building. You have to go, how much is an individual unit worth, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms. You find a lot of market like research, like how much is this 2-bedroom renting for, and then combine them all, break them down, and then what the market it's doing itself. Like, are there any updates? Are there any buildings that's going to be built down the road? What in zoning was very important too. And in fact, if I wouldn't have done appraising, I don't think I could have moved down to Florida and just jumped right into sales and leasing. But it gave me, I was reading, I don't know, maybe 80 leases a week, which you don't do that in maybe a year in commercial, depending what kind of properties you're doing. But like it was brutal. They're long reports and they're very specific. You can't mess up one thing. These are for lenders. These are for people like
because you got to send that
sell.
to
Yeah. I mean, if you mess up the zoning and you miss that, you're done being an appraiser forever.
How does that zoning work? Because that's such a touchy thing.
Zoning.
I know I had a couple bars before. I had a bunch of businesses, and the zoning was always a bitch.
Oh, it's wrecked more deals for me than attorneys. It says a lot in a way, but it's
like in your words, like what is zoning, and what's always the problem that you run into with the zoning?
It's not accurate. It's not good. Somebody 20 years ago, I don't know, was in this council and just decided they shouldn't have houses in this area. Now they're letting one house in at a time, and they're paying serious fees to get the house there on variance or whatever they're doing. None of it I actually had one situation. I won't say the city because I don't want to offend anybody, but they had a commercial property, and I'm putting a hair salon for one of my clients. This is 4 years ago. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. There's already businesses here. And I think I had her. I usually have my client call, too, to explain what type of business they are so they can be more specific than I can. I usually stay out of it. But she calls me. She's like, that's not zoned commercial. And I go, there's no way. And I pull it up, and I look at it. I'm like, what the hell? It's like a residential 3 or something. So, which means it could be like multifamily, but it's right off a busy road. There's 3 businesses operating there. So I call the zoning department. I'm like, hey, what's going on with this? She's like, no, we know it's wrong, but we're going to work on it next week. And I'm like, so what do you want my client to do to get in there? She's like, well, she'll pay a $2,400 variance fee, but we can assure you it'll go through. And I go, hold on.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
and here's me trying to get out of politics. I hang up the phone, do an email to every city council member, the mayor, and then the zoning department. Everybody was in this email. So I fill it out. I send it out. Anyway, regardless, I ended up changing it 2 weeks, but I found my client something else. But I'm like, and I think I even said nicely to her, I'm like, you guys aren't getting a Christmas bonus out of my client that's trying to start her first business. That's not going to happen, you know. So what's going to happen is I'm going to need that changed. Anyway, she calls me. She's like, I know you emailed the mayor, and I'm like, you were CC'd on it. I'm like, what is this, you know? And I was actually, you know, and I talked to one of the city council members later or something. They're like, yeah, we should have got on that before. It's like, you can't be doing that to businesses. One, you're wrecking the income. Like, if they just look it over instead of going through that process, because it does take time. And nobody has time when you're starting a new business, and nobody has really the budget to send the city $2,400 for something that's clearly zoned inappropriate.
And that's pulling right out of the capital to build the business.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's coming out of everything. You can't. I mean,
what makes a property a commercial property, and what makes a property? I mean, I could see like a house, you know, in a community or something.
Yeah, you're not going to build.
But why can't I? If I own my house, why can't I recon it and turn it into a hair salon?
I mean,
they don't matter.
I mean, it's traffic counts. I actually do, and I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression, but I have a lot of respect for people that work at the city, especially when they know how messed up their zoning is. You know, because they probably get a lot of angry calls. So you want to be really nice to them when you're going through the process. But it's you know, I went an aggressive route there because it was like, we know it's wrong, just pay the money. And I'm like, no, it's not happening. You guys got to fix that.
Well, yeah, if you didn't do that,
it's clearly commercial. They're charging everybody for a variance just to operate out there, knowing it's wrong.
I was gonna say, if you don't have somebody like her that does that, then guess what? All those people are saying a $2,400 fee. They're like, thank you, pocket, thank you. Oh yeah, we'll get that change for you. Yeah, that'll get changed.
Yeah, they get mad at you though too. But I mean, they got it fixed. I always say this too. It's not the people that are in the city council. It's not that aren't getting it done, or the zoning department. It's something that happened before, and they have a lot on their plate. They're dealing with new stuff, and they can't always go back and fix it. So to be patient with them. But at the same time, when you're trying to start a business and tomorrow really matters for income, you know, getting in the door, setting it up, but that's what's holding it up. That drives me nuts. But at the same time, it's like you're hurting your city not getting revenue by them operating every day too. But I do understand traffic counts. You know, they put 3 busy businesses on one little corner, it's going to be a disaster for traffic.
Right.
You can't, especially South Florida, you're screwed. So they're very good about that. And it does have a rhyme or reason, but when it's handled poorly, it can be so disastrous for, you know, for new businesses coming in. I mean, and developers too, especially when we have such a need right now. It's like, get your shit together, please. Come on, guys. Let's do this as a team.
Because now's the window.
Right now you got to get, especially, before season.
Especially, you know, 2 months ago was really the time, right? Now, on these commercial properties, I always had run into this, and it always drove me nuts. The cam.
Oh, you know, gotta cap it. I was gonna get this on T-shirts too.
Yeah, can you? To this day, I've probably had 17 different businesses in commercial properties, and I still don't understand what the hell the CAM is. I just paid it.
Okay, so it's operating expenses, common area maintenance is what CAM stands for, but operating.
Aren't I paying rent for that or whatever?
No. So you have a base rent, and then you have what the owner's expenses would be. It's called a triple net lease. So it's like one of my favorite topics. Okay, so when I did
I get pissed every time.
No, you got it. That's why it's good to have a broker. At least listen to this little chunk I'm about to say.
Listen to her.
So you got to cap the CAM, and I am going to get that on T-shirts eventually. Cap the CAM, because I mean owners don't particularly like it, and it's not that great for sales. So I'm going to advise people, you know, just be aware of both sides of why it's good to cap CAM, why it's not. So when you sell a Florida, in the state of Florida, properties can't really technically increase more. They can't increase more than 10% annually. You know. By an assessor, like for your property taxes. If you sell a property, and let's just say, especially in this market, it's going to be nuts. So you have people under a triple net lease, and they don't cap the CAM. So the tenants, each of them are responsible by a pro rata share what they're going to pay. So, you know, you in this little space, let's just say, 25% out of 100, you're going to pay 25% of the operating expenses is what the additional cost is based off how much square footage you take out of the building. That's how you kind of get what your fee is going to be on top of the base rent.
Sounds like double jeopardy to me.
I mean, it's you got to cap it. No I'm kidding. But triple net leases are the best. I like them best for owners, especially if they plan on selling. Or you know, new buyers don't want it capped, because what happens is their taxes are going to go up, and these are called uncontrollable costs. So insurance and taxes can go up against their will. The other portion of, you know, common area maintenance or operating expenses is how they maintain the building. So they, like the outside, especially if it's a multi-tenant, they're going to pay for that stuff one way or another. They charge. You can get gross leases, but we're talking about a triple net, which is, when you have the additional cost.
So the CAM would be like for the property manager, the insurance, the property tax that you can't control. So to save themselves, they put that CAM. But I remember I had a business in PGA, and my rent was almost as much as the CAM. Or the lease.
This is where you got to cap it. So what happens, let's just say I'm working for an investor and I'm like, we're going to fill this up at market rents, each space on triple net leases. And we don't, for this purpose of this conversation, we're not going to cap the CAM. This is really good for the owner. Bad for the tenant.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you explain a triple net lease for those who don't know? So they know what the hell they're getting into when they hear that.
Okay, so you will look at it and it'll tell you you're going to pay, Florida will be $20, but for the purpose of the conversation, you pay $10 based off the amount of square footage you have. That's your base rent. And that is going to typically increase 3 to 4% annually is what you'll see in the lease. That's normal. You may be able to do 2%, but anyway. So that can increase by a definite 3% annually. Then on top of that, they're going to give you a number. They're going to take how much square footage you take in that building, and they're going to divide it by the full square footage, and then you're going to pay that percentage worth of their expenses that they experience each year: taxes, insurance, maintenance, property management. It could be garbage. Sometimes that's separate, but so that's the additional CAM, and they do it movable because they can't anticipate. So if they put you at a gross lease at $20, and all of a sudden, the insurance or taxes jump up, a few $1,000s. Like, shit, I just lost a lot of money by getting tied into that 20. I want it to be able to move. So that's what the CAM, operator.
So it protects the owner from the unpredictable increase in price, but kills the tenant. The tenant.
If they're not paying attention. I was in Minnesota. The taxes are nuts, especially in one.
They're nuts.
They're crazy taxes.
Really?
There. Both, yeah. Oh, yeah. What?
How bad is it there?
Are you? Oh, I can't.
I don't know.
Okay. Oh, I'm like,
no, I really don't know.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
I'd imagine it's probably high.
Take a wild guess.
It's up. Oh,
take a wild guess.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
On how much? On for.
We're talking property income. Everything bad about is bad in Minnesota with taxes.
Yeah, they're high.
They're very high.
How high?
They so high that even the Republican governor, when 10 years ago, they called a cigarette they are taxing cigarette tax, and he called it a fee. That's how bad.
What's their sales
so
tax?
Bad.
Do you know what their sales
smoke
tax?
and mirrors. What?
What's their sales tax? Do you know?
Their sales tax, I don't even know. Actually, you got to look it up.
6 or 7%, maybe. Pennsylvania, I think 7. Yeah.
It's not as high as Chicago. Chicago's the worst. I went shopping.
Oh yeah,
I was
Paul.
so
I got a friend in Chicago. We call him Big Paulie. Yeah.
What is it, like 10? 8, no,
how the hell do people survive?
9.8.
They don't. They're leaving there too.
Yeah. Chicago, and you get killed in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
My buddy came to take his little kid to the subway because they're just blasting.
Does Florida have?
That is scary.
I remember Pennsylvania had. I don't know if Florida has it. Did you ever hear of a KOZ zone?
No.
So a KOZ zone was basically, I don't know if they have it down here, but in PA basically, let's say an Amazon, I'm going to use them as an example, would come into like an industrial park, like where all factories are at, and they would get 10 years tax-free.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's a good thing, bad thing? Double-edged sword?
I have mixed feelings. I don't like eminent domain. This is similar but different. But Best Buy came in and they used eminent domain to get people's private properties. And this is Best Buy. Guess who ended up going under with all the online, e-commerce? Yeah. Best Buy. So they snuck them in using eminent domain because it was going to be more beneficial. Wow. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like people getting, I think in this case, it was stupid. You can't predict the future, especially e-commerce knocked out Best Buy, and all these people lost their homes because the city thought it was going to benefit them more than having houses there. So it's bullshit. So it's hard to predict the future. I think I would rather have a tax break, but I'm more of rather than cheat the system, fix it. So, for me personally, it's why your tax is so high for everybody. Why can't we fix that? It's because of shitty spending and how they operate, and your pork barrel, like you mentioned, Bill. So, I would have to look into, on a per basis, what is being built, where it's being built. Is it to benefit the community, or is it just a private business coming in that knows somebody that wants to
It's a little both. My dad always talks about it, because I think what happens is these businesses come into these industrial parks, as they call them, and they get 10 years tax-free. So what they say is, well, we're creating jobs. And you're like, okay, you are. And they're paying a decent wage, right, to the people for where it's at. And then what happens is after the 10 years is up, what they do is they leave and they go somewhere else because now their 10 years is up. They've made their money, they've paid out, and then they go somewhere else that has it.
I'm trying
it's
to
just
think
weird.
of the term of that.
I don't know what it stands for, KOZ, but it's a.
It's called. I don't know.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they
after
had it
researching you.
Yeah, they give you tax breaks to come into the city and
Correct.
build. I mean, it's not like I'm thinking. What opportunity zones, but that's not the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I just think quit playing games and lower our taxes.
Yeah.
But it's weird. And then they're gonna get you somewhere else. It doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
But
'cause
I
if
do
they
think
cut
it's
one, they'll just add to another, right?
Yeah, exactly. What were we? Oh, capping the cam. So,
Yeah.
if you so you sign up on a lease, and I'm the broker. I'm filling up every space in this building, and we're not going to allow you to cap the cam. And and then once it's filled, we're going to turn around and sell the building for a huge profit because now it's full. The cap rate's up, and some investor's going to come gobble it up. And they don't have to worry about the taxes being raised. So Palm Beach County by far has one of the best websites I've ever used in a county, both political and real estate, to find properties and information on them. They're incredible. So thank you, Palm Beach County. I don't even like leaving. No, I'm kidding. But it's so you go into Palm Beach County, and let's say the guy bought the building for $800 or $800,000, 10 years ago. Now he's going to sell it for $5 million. And if you go in there and plug in what the tax increase is going to be on that, they'll tell you flat out. So you're quadrupling your taxes, especially even now today. And the tenants all are going to pay for it. You don't have to worry about paying that difference. So they go up like $80,000, a couple $100,000, and they're covering the bill. Can you imagine that expense? So I always say cap. Most cases, the owner's not going to let you cap the uncontrollable costs anyway, but always shoot for it because you're screwed if they're going to flip that property. But on the right side, a lot of owners do hold 5, 10, 15 years in commercial, so that's always nice too. But you got to be aware of it. You can get so screwed over on the cam.
I didn't know what I was doing the first time when I first moved. Because in Pennsylvania, I had all kinds of shit in PA, and there was no cam. I moved down here, and the guy was like, "Cam, what the hell is cam?"
I never heard of it.
All right.
About it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened in PJ when I had a bar out there. It was fucking. I swear to God, it was almost as much as the damn lease.
This is interesting too. What happened on one property? So we negotiated. This was back when industrial was actually $12 base rent, and then the cam.
When was that? 1956. 1856.
In
Boca.
Well, I gotta go.
That must have been the 1700s.
So, funny story. So I negotiated a bit lower. This is one of my big times working with one of the big brokerages, and we still do lunch sometimes because they were laughing so hard because nobody really knew about capping the cam, but I saw it in a bunch of appraisal leases because it protects the tenants from being, if they sell the property, they're not going to pay a shit ton of the taxes. Especially in some cities, will raise your taxes like absurdly too, and that'll affect the owner of the building, which I saw up in Minnesota. And these people were pitching like $3,000 more a month, more than they first anticipated.
Jeez.
And I'm like, it's insane. And the owner, will the owner go fight that if he's not paying it? Probably not. So he's probably a busy guy with a lot of properties, and he probably doesn't care, unfortunately. So the tenants are responsible for it. Always cap the cam. But here's another thing outside of controllable costs was this new owner came in, bought the building, and they told us the wrong amount of cam, but I already negotiated, like, say, $15 base rent, and then he came back and said, actually, the cam's going to be $3 more, and I go, actually, the base rent's going to be $3 less, so, to even it out, but they had to go through and run the numbers, but if they wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have got the real numbers before, the next year, my clients would have been paying $4 extra per square foot, and that's a lot on 15,000 square feet. That's a lot.
I wouldn't want that envelope coming in the mail. that would go in the trash, and I'd pretend I never saw it.
You could always fight the owner on it, but if it's taxes going up, you got a new owner, you're screwed. You always should try to cap it.
What would be fair, which would never happen, I guess, would be you put the cam on if I do a 5-year. And if whatever didn't increase, you give me back whatever, the cost wasn't. So if you put, just to make it simple, if you put a $500 a month cam on me, and after 5 years, you only spent, let's just say, just to make it simple, you spent $50,000 instead of $100 that I gave you in cam. Give me back my $50,000.
Yeah, right. They'll find a way to spend. They'll find a way to spend the $100,000.
I said in a dream world.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's ever an issue, you can request what they're spending it on. You can go through the report, but always
then it'll be the
minimum,
worst place to be because they'll just be all over you.
Yeah,
get you out of
there. It's an ugly thing for both of them, owners or tenant. If that's an argument, I mean, it's just not fun. It's not a fun deal, but. If you cap it, I don't get it. I like love capping. It's so funny you bring that up. It's like one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, because I always wanted to know.
Nobody knew about it. A lot of the other brokers didn't know to do it either. I'm like, it just seems so obvious that you should cap it. To me, I mean, but owners don't want to do that. I mean,
I didn't think you could. I thought it was like not up for negotiation.
No, you gotta ask, and you gotta ask in the LOI early enough.
What's the average like lease for a commercial lease? Is there a certain is there a number like 5 years, or could it be anything? Could it be a year? Is it
retail? It varies. I mean, like a lot of office you see for it varies so much. Yeah. But I would say 5 years is preferred, especially for if they're going to go sell it or for bank, loan purposes. Most of them like 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
On paper, for sure. Yeah.
Everyone that I had with the cam was 3, no less than 3. Usually 5, and you get a better deal.
Yeah.
They wanted 5. You could work them down to 3, but never less than 3.
Yeah, another good thing.
At least for me.
I did an assignment of a lease for a client just recently, and they just wanted to switch locations, but I listed it, and we put it on the market for like $3 more. So anyway, we decided to do an assignment as opposed to do a brand new lease with the owner, which wasn't very... Let's just say the rent went up $5 a square foot in this location in the last year.
Wow.
It was
not surprised because I see the price on this house.
Yeah, and then one of the people were like, "Yeah, well, you want a couple months free rent?" I'm like, "No, you're not. You know what kind of deal you're going to get out of here? You dumb? Are you out of your mind?" I'm like, "We can give it to somebody else because we have 30 other people asking about it right now." Within a week it was gone. But it's crazy. The market down in South Florida is just nuts. I love it, but it is frustrating. I would not. I highly recommend nobody does a 1031. To defer tax or whatever.
Could you explain what a time? I know what it is.
Well, it's like I am not up on the up. I always refer to like attorneys that do it because we're talking like millions of dollars. I'm not going to screw that up.
Call your attorney. Right?
I will find it for you, but I will not be responsible for telling you information that's wrong. But essentially, what it is, you have X amount of time to find a new property. And then you buy a new property. Rather than paying capital gains taxes, you just transfer it to a new property. But you only have X amount of time. And in this market, if you're trying to do a 1031, it's going to be very difficult because everything's gone immediately. And it's hard to even get a cap rate that's over like 5% right now.
See, you just made that make total sense.
Yeah.
That was very good.
That's like I always think when I drive, when I either go to the Gardens Mall or I go to City Place. I don't know what they call it now down here in West Palm. You always see businesses changing nonstop. It never lasts. I was like, how much money do they pay in rent a month? In the Gardens Mall, how much are they paying? Again, I know it goes by square footage, but how much is one of those small little places like a Sunglass Hut paying?
This will blow your mind. So I had an engineering company prior to this, and the Gardens Mall was trying to get Sears out of there because they wanted to put Neiman Marcus in because they thought it was, you had Louis, Gucci, kind of like more high end, and then you have Sears. So who owns King of Prussia? Who's the one who owns the mall in Boca? They own a mall. Simon and
Simon. It's the
Yeah, that's who we were dealing with Simon because they own the Boca Mall. They own the one down.
Oh, it's like a gym or whatever.
Yeah, Simon and
it's a big company.
Yeah, they own King of Prussia in Philly and all kinds of stuff. So they went on, and Sears was already bankrupt. So they were just like, we don't care because they were still in the lease, I guess. There's not a leg that walks through there. They offered him $200 million to leave. And then we were already drawing up the plans for Neiman Marcus, and they would not take the $200 million.
No shit.
They're still there. Yep.
Yeah, I saw they are still there. It's crazy.
Why?
Well, I guess they figured we're already bankrupt, because if they got the $200 million from Simon's,
that's a good.
It's just going to go right to bankruptcy, right?
No, that's true.
So
just hang out.
I guess
that's what they're doing.
And I'm sure that they knew that.
Just donate the money. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't know.
That wouldn't work. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I could think of ways. It might not be the best ways, but especially with 71,000.
It just always amazes me thinking of how much these businesses pay for rent. And now, I'm sure it's crazy.
Clematis, I was just I'm looking for a few things on in that downtown West Palm, and it's about $55 to $65, $70 a square foot. So if you do the math on that, plus Cam.
Oh yeah, fucking Cam. Well, like the hookah lounge.
That's a prime example.
Okay, I know that guy well. Okay, you know the hookah lounge on the corner. Clematis.
It's been out for a little bit, but yeah.
I don't know. There's two over there.
There's a pizza place, and it's up from the pizza place.
Yeah, on the left-hand side. Yeah, he's paying $32,000 for that place. plus cam, so I don't know what the cam is.
Oh,
32
a month.
A month.
That's
32.
You got to be selling a lot of hookah.
And I said, buddy,
You got to be.
32,000. Really? On hookah?
Hence why a Bud Light's like
They stay busy.
$14.
Yeah.
I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
hey, yeah, because they can't sell vodka. But yeah, I guess that
You can't
great.
sell. They
I
don't
hit
have
it-
hard liquor.
They don't have hard liquor. No, just beer. They got beer and they
You
got.
can't. Can you sell? I want to look into how much hookah you can sell in a month.
Not
No, maybe I don't know.
Maybe it's
It is a busy area though.
Yeah, there's a lot of people going through
There
it.
is.
32 grand. That's a lot.
Plus cam, huh? That's
Plus
his
cam.
case.
Wow.
How many square feet does he have?
It's pretty big. Yeah, it's pretty big.
What do you think it is? Maybe 1,500.
Yeah, it's a pretty big space.
So what do you think that fucking cam is on that? Oklahoma
I mean,
Street.
do the taxes. See, that's how you do it too. You take the tax and divide it by your prorated share.
That's so interesting. A lot of shit, right?
That's a lot. That's gonna
Well,
be
even
a
the
lot of
pizza
money.
place. But that pizza place
Oh,
crushes.
now they can afford
They
it.
crush it at
Which
night.
pizza? I'm trying to.
It's called
picture-
Nico's.
Oh yeah, nope. I know what you're talking.
So at night, like
Yeah.
after all the
Yeah.
concerts, after all the shit they have there, every drunk person, their minds in there.
Yeah,
and
they're
the
making-
prices of the pizza change. But like
Yeah, yeah.
$4 for flight. The other guy's got $7. Like, wait, is that? Did you say 7? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, here you go.
Yeah, the guy's like,
Yeah.
pepperoni. That'll be $10.
You're like, wait, dude, that guy only paid 6.
Oh, I would-
Oh, it goes up as the hours go up.
I'd hit them left and right. They're gonna get it anyway.
Yeah.
And hey, it's top quality pizza.
Yes,
you get water
it
shipped
is.
in from New York.
It is pretty good.
Oh,
Pay for the fuel. Fuel went up.
goes up after 10.
So now you started. I don't want to mess up the name. You started working for Chew. Is that how I say it? Appraisers.
Oh,
This
JC,
is back in
I called him JC.
2012, right?
Yeah, 2014.
14. Okay, so
2013 was the start. 2015 I left. It was like a year and a half.
give me a horror story as an appraiser. Like when you were working
just
there.
sitting at the desk was not good.
That
for
was
me.
the horror?
Otherwise, I liked the math. I liked everything I learned, and that's one of the best appraisers in Minnesota. He does commercial, one of the best ever. And we were doing it for, I think I signed something, but we were doing it for big place. I mean, it wasn't, very serious clients, and we were doing several a week. I was doing a lot, but great teacher. My personality at behind the desk, not cool. That's more of like, they're more introverted accountants is what you're going to find doing appraisal. I would go to the building, I'm like, this is great, Jim. Like, it's like, no, we don't do that as appraisers, but and it was fun learning it. And again, without reading all those leases, like 80 a week, it was insane. I come down here and made it so much. I could be dropped anywhere and pull analysis. In this market with supply and demand, it's kind of, again, what are you going to pay? But there is a way to gauge it still, even with everything going on. You can go back a month and you can have an analysis as opposed to 3 years. Back at that time, usually pulled 2 to 3 years because the sales were so sporadic and things like that. But now it's just like, holy shit. In the numbers, you got to. I don't have a horror story except for sitting behind the desk for 80 hours.
That's just hard for you, period.
That was bad. It was bad news.
So now, what made you pick Florida? Why come to Florida? What was the drive to come here?
Well, what happened? So I worked close with my dad, like doing politics and real estate. He retired out of one and then soon after the other. So as soon as he retired, I'm like, they're got to be coming down soon. Because I was trying to go where family would be. And one of my aunt and uncles, because I considered Arizona and California. I knew I wasn't going to stay in Minnesota. California not happening. But so my aunt and uncle moved here, and then another set of aunt and uncle. And I know my family generally herds. There's so many of us, it is.
Well, you got, 250, right?
Yeah, now we already have, 15, 16 down here. But, it took my parents longer than I thought. And we vacationed here. It's where we came. So I'm like, this is probably my best bet. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I started deep sea fishing. Real estate I got with some good mentors right off the bat. And there was not a single doubt in my mind that I made a mistake. So
and then when you went online, you were like, wow, right?
That's it.
When you went on the websites, right? Because you're like, holy shit, you're back in the Stone Age of Minnesota, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was bad. Minnesota, I love it. Again, the weather and the, good friends, family, great. Yeah, it's where I draw the line on that deal, though. But I liked winter activities, too. Ice skating, snowmobiling, snowboarding. I did all that skiing. Especially ice skating on an open lake when it freezes perfect.
That does sound
it's and you can hear like and it kind of cracks sometimes. You're just like
that does sound cool.
Oh, it was amazing. We'd go across to our cousin's house. We'd go like 3 lakes across, and it's just and it's just like the most surreal thing you've ever experienced.
Never cracked and you fell in?
And it only happened like once every 3 to 5 years.
Did it ever crack?
Oh, I fell into several times. And it cuts your leg and you can't feel it. You get inside, you're like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. Like, because you're so cold. Like, it numbs it immediately. And my mom's like, oh, great kid.
Here we go.
Well,
Here we
this,
go.
like, I didn't know it was cut. Like, it's nuts. It was a lot of fun growing up there. You know, we had, especially with all the family we had, and you know, just being on the lake and snowmobiling. It was a great.
I do miss snowmobiling.
It was
and skiing too.
Well, you can do that in other places. No,
yeah, yeah. What are we gonna do?
Well, my last year there too, was appraising a building. I got frostbite. I was going around like a 30,000 square foot building with these huge boots, and I was driving a Jeep at the time with, you know, just like, whatever. I was like, how does that even, it was negative like 30 or something, and I'm not exaggerating. Oh no, it was -8. Earlier in the day. It was so cold.
The wind chill.
I'm good. I'm working on this float tank thing, and fuck that.
I like float tank. I went in there. What are you doing, float tank?
Yeah, I got a float tank. I'm at 1 minute. I'm doing -2 right now.
Oh, I didn't do it cold though. I was just in the salt.
I did it cold.
Oh, you're doing the floating thing.
Yeah.
I did that one time.
It's really good for your heart and blood flow.
I want to do
arteries.
that. I've been watching videos where people.
It's
jump.
cold.
Yeah.
I had to build it up to a minute.
Oh, you did it cold? Oh,
Yeah,
I did it warm with the
like
salt. With the salt that they put in, you put salt in it.
See, I go treadmill,
In Delray.
sauna, workout, ice float.
Well, you say to do an ice after
the sauna. Yep.
Yeah, I heard that.
It took me 3 months to get to.
But you don't
1
put
minute.
the salt in it?
No.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to. I
No,
don't
you're
know.
supposed to put like salt in it. I heard.
That's what they thought the soak or the.
Or like that. I don't know.
I want to try the cold one though. We used to go from the hot tub. We had a pretty sweet setup. I'm not gonna lie. Growing up, we'd have like the hot tub outside the window, and you'd look in. We'd open. My dad was probably pissed, but we'd open the windows and watch a movie in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, it'd be snowing in the background. A snowmobile would go by. It was
Probably
just-
wanted
it
to
was
kill you when he got the
Yeah, the
electric
bill.
bill.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
we just, no.
I got a
Actually, I
hot
don't think
tub.
he knows about
Don't let him see this.
I'm gonna get a bill tomorrow.
I got
He would
this
too.
really
If we left
cool.
the light on, he's like, you're paying the energy. He was really good about teaching
That's
us
good.
how not
That's
to
good.
waste
That's
money
what we
and
need now.
How not to be lazy.
That's
I mean,
the
that's
problem.
I was very fortunate they did that actually.
This
But
social
anyway, we
media.
were a little, we had some goods. But we would get out of the hot tub as soon as the lake defrosted, or it was kind of early spring or early winter, and you'd run, jump in the lake, and then run back out and get back in the hot tub. Yeah, it was a lot
Like
of
a
fun.
polar bear.
Yeah, it was like a Schwitz or I think the Russians do that too.
Yeah. Well, you know Putin's doing it. Shit, he's crazy as can be. He rides bulls or with the bears or whatever the hell he was.
Bulls and the bears.
I got a really cool hot tub and it lit up and I can make it cold, hot. My fucking electric went up $500.
I was gonna say, how often did you use it? I hear people they use it's like friends are over hanging out and then maybe a bit romantic with their wife one night. And
sometimes I would use it at night to relax a little bit.
I love I'm a big hot tub fan. I like baths too. I used to work out of the tub. I gotta quit doing that.
Did you really?
Yeah. You'd call me and be like,
oh shit!
How many phones did you drop
it's
in?
like my office. I had like a board for a computer. It was really getting
Woman
out of
found dead
control.
electrocuted in her bathtub
Yeah.
with her laptop.
I wouldn't plug it in. It was fully charged. Or can you? Shit.
How many phones did you drop in the bathtub as you work? 3?
That's
not too bad.
I had to quit doing that though. Some point you got to get out of the tub.
And then I saw when I was
I was in
reading.
the zone though every time. I could do an analysis.
Yeah, you get locked in, right?
I mean,
And it's
in
just-
the tub, Epsom. Okay, anyway, what were you saying?
No, I just had seen an observer. Is that an actual?
That was kind of a
thing?
joke. I mean, kind of. I made it up though.
I don't know. I didn't know because there's 17,000 different words for this real estate thing.
Yeah, no, that was like
I mean,
kind
there's
of.
like this appraiser, that kind of appraiser, this kind of appraiser, this agent, this. I'm reading this. I'm like,
Yeah, no.
how about real estate agent, appraise?
I go with by
broker?
broker. I'm actually not a realtor by definition. That's
Right.
if you're part of the board. I am not. I don't need to be as doing commercial. And besides, you can find out if somebody's good or not by looking them up online. And it's not. And it's. I'm not a board member. I mean, I have nothing against them, but I'm not.
Not
And
for you.
I mean, I feel bad. They're actually. I don't think they're really as much needed as they used to be, as far as all the resources and tools people have. But. I don't think they're a bad group, but I'm not a member. So I'm a broker by state definition. And
So when you came down, what did you just observe? Like what was going on? Is that why?
yeah,
it was
I mean,
kinda
I
there?
started a seafood company.
Did you really?
Yeah, just out of the Keys. That was nuts. Really
Out of the
funny
Keys?
story.
Where?
I'm gonna skip
Wow.
that.
Yeah, let's hear that.
no.
Let's hear that.
I'll tell
Where
you a
at?
story.
Yeah,
all right.
where at?
I went down to the Keys. I knew
love
what
the
it was.
Keys.
I knew what it was. I knew
Yeah.
what was down there,
Yeah.
but didn't know this particular bar. I walked in. thought it was just a regular bar. It looked like it. And it was a bunch of men butt naked.
Oh, that's on Duval Street.
I didn't go there.
Yeah.
The Bull and the Whistle.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for telling me.
The second floor is clothing optional, I think.
I went
The
to
third
Coyote.
floor.
Yeah, I went up to the second floor.
Oh, yeah, you don't go up there. You know
Yeah.
that. Oh, you
No,
went
I don't
there.
know
Oh,
that.
yeah, I didn't. I went
didn't
to
know
the
that,
first
Rob.
floor, and I saw
No,
that.
Rob.
I'm like, nope, don't go to
This
the
No,
is
Rob.
not a mixed drink, by the way. I'm just trying to get my energy drinks cold. No, it's not.
Do whatever you want. You want a cigar? We got cigars, whatever you
I
want.
really like this place.
So where?
Do whatever you want.
So where is
Like
what,
a fucking
a
joint?
seafood
I don't
place
care.
in the Keys? Like, I gotta hear
No.
this.
It was going to be sales, wholesale.
Okay.
So, we got, it's just so brutal. So, this is just one of the 1,000 things I've done. I mean, I would try
That's
to
cool,
start
though.
to do fitness products. That's a story to have, but we're going to skip that one for today, too. But anyway, just we could get a good deal on seafood, and I knew Minnesota needed good seafood at an affordable price because they just couldn't get it, and we wanted to do it as, quickly, as efficiently as possible. However, my business partner at the time, and I love real estate anyway. I would have got back into it, but it was a great opportunity to kind of get that ball rolling. But they didn't plan for shipping when we went to the big meetings, and that was the end of that. And I'm like, I just can't do. I like business partners, but you guys, people have to be on the same page, to do it. It's not the best.
It's so hard when you have to depend on somebody else because they never do it the way you would do it.
Well, I mean,
From my experience.
we had pretty good meetings lined up, and then we also made them upset because there's wholesalers within, that sell to restaurants. So we went directly to restaurants because I know a lot of really good chefs, and I'm like, oh, here's our prices. So they're seeing the markup that the wholesalers are doing, and the wholesalers were like, get
Pissed.
They
the
wanted to
hell out
do
of here.
pissed.
We went to all the I knew all the nice seafood restaurants, and we went in there, had a cocktail, talked to them, showed them the prices. It was just, I'm like, so I left there. I'm like, all right, see.
Are you allowed in Key West?
No, that was up in Minnesota. We were trying to bring key food from
Key West.
Yeah, no, I still go fishing down there and stuff. Yeah, I love I mean, I don't go all the way to Keys. I usually go to Marathon or like that area.
Oh, you don't go all the way down to the nutty?
No, I have. Yeah, I have.
That's my favorite
That was
part.
like Vegas for
Marathon,
me. I had to get out.
Lou Key, that's where I went diving in Lou Key, but Marathon's nice. Everybody goes to Alamorada now. I know it's huge, but I like Marathon area.
I'd just like to see that bridge.
Yeah.
That bridge is weird.
I love that.
It's
yeah.
just interesting.
Yeah.
When you look over it. What actually really happened with that? It just
Gosh, I know
Well,
the story.
the bridge on the
Yeah,
the one that's abandoned, like
Yeah.
that was
what cracked that?
no.
Well, I mean, or fell
That
off.
was what's the
What was
guy's
the better
name?
word?
What's the old
I don't
guy's
know.
name from years ago? Billionaire back then or millionaire back then. He created the railroad so he
Flagler.
could get
No,
Flagler,
was it?
Henry
Yeah.
Flagler. That's Henry Flagler's bridge
Really?
that brought goods and services back and forth.
That's so cool.
Don't correct me or exactly on the history, but it's Henry Flagler's bridge. That's what it is.
Before we stop, we'll figure out exactly why that broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you
I
get
think it was
into
this old, wasn't it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a story I should know, and I'm kind of embarrassed.
probably a
I
good
probably heard
story.
it.
I'll look
Behind
it up
it.
while you guys are talking.
yeah.
Every time we go by it fishing, they tell me.
Pull up
I
a
can't
tattoo.
know. Yeah, check it out.
So now you get into all this, and this is a overpopulated, profession. Whether it's broker, appraiser, commercial real estate, whatever it may be. I mean, everybody and their mother's a real estate agent. Everybody and their mother's going to be a broker or a lender or whatever. What was it that gave you the confidence after doing some appraisals, with other companies, doing them on your own, doing it when you were young? What gave you the confidence to go basically on your own and go into this field?
I always just loved it too, and I like residential. I didn't like. It was just kind of more emotional, like that type of. Are you saying like why did I come to Florida and decide to do this?
Well, just in general, this professional is very
I just always loved
populated.
it. I knew it's what I wanted.
It was your love, so
Yeah,
it's not
and
work to you.
It's no, and actually I lost a lot of money because of that. So I'm really good at finding properties, really good at chasing people down, getting a hold of people, and then thinking, I like puzzles. That's just what I'm good at. And then I love people, and I especially like businesses and, watching people make money, like investments, things like that. So I would go out and find these properties and just tell the person when I first moved here. And they would go buy it without me. And I'm like, wait, what the hell? And my broker's like, Alana, get it in writing. Like, what are you doing? So this happened like 15 times because I'd get all excited. I'm like, oh, yep, here it is. I found it. And they just go get it. And he's like, what the hell did I tell you?
You're just killing us.
Yeah, so I'm still learning. But I'm like, at least I love what I'm doing. So it wasn't too devastating. But when you see you missed out on, in excess, I have like a little chart. And just for the real obvious ones. And it's like in excess of like 1.3 million that I've like noticeably knew I should have had commission on. So you got to be. So that was a big.
What are you gonna do, right?
Like me getting business was never really an issue because I was just always out there, and I work really closely with residential agents too, and I encourage people to get their license in Florida because you can, if you're working at a restaurant or bar, you get your license, especially for residential. I mean, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do commercial unless you know what the hell you're doing because you can screw somebody so bad. But you know, residential. If I was a bartender, I'd get my residential license. Somebody comes in, I need a house. We're looking with my wife. Oh, here, I'll help you. Here's my card. I do it all the time, and then make an extra 20 grand.
That's a hell of an idea.
Like,
if you're a bartender,
if I were you, I'd have my life. Yeah, remember that one movie for shits and giggles?
Yeah.
What was that? Step Brothers?
Yeah,
Step Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that was a minute ago.
That was funny.
But that's smart though, right? I can see that working even now with all this bullshit that's about to hit. Yeah, if you're a bartender, man, what a better thing to do.
I'm shocked some people, some professions
They don't think
have
like
a real
that.
estate license in Florida. People are so transient, and you can, it's not like I'm going to use my sister or brother or something. And I do a lot of referrals, I get a lot from residential agents actually, because they send it to me and then I'll send them houses. So that was kind of the agreement because I'm strictly commercial. I wouldn't even touch a house if it was my aunt or uncle's. I just don't want to do it.
I can see that.
I can help somebody. I'm really good with looking at a value and be it's going to be 340 right off the bat. And I don't like working with big companies because I think it kind of kills the negotiation aspect when you're working in a house. I never liked that feeling because I did work for one. I was in residential at the time, and they use these. Well, one, I hated how they found. I'm not going to say the company name, but they found they'd run an analysis or what is that called? I can't even think of it. Like it would generate it based off other sales, kind of like a Zillow. Like they were using that as their way to find the value.
Like so they plug a bunch of shit into the software
and put the address and it'll deliver a price out, and they're like,
and that's what it is.
My one time working with a big company, and I get asked, actually quite a bit from other people, and I'm like, no, it just wouldn't be a good idea. I want to negotiate harder, and I kind of want my own timetable, and I don't want to offend anybody in the office by not showing up for 4 days and working from home. It's just, I want to build a team. Don't get me wrong, and I will do that soon of my own, just whatever. But what I was going to say is, when I was working with a big company, it just, it felt like if somebody came in-house, it'd be uncomfortable. I got a client, can we make a deal? And I'd be like, no. Then I would be made fun of at the coffee station.
Yeah.
And I would. I'm not gonna do that.
And you're a negotiator. And when you're dealing with those monster companies, they got lawyer on top of lawyer, they got board member on top of board. Yeah. It's all the political shit that you tried to get away from,
I couldn't do it, yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that either.
No, but so, and another thing, they ran in this analysis, and I am pretty good. I get these gut feelings. It's not like a gift, but it is. I've been around it my whole life. It's kind of just an
so
intuition.
You kind of evolved an instinct kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Just from doing it so much, right?
Yeah, and when it's funny, my dad, I was 7, 10, whatever. And I'm like, Dad, how much is that house worth? He's like, a little more complicated than that. And that was the end of it. And, but I kind of learned slowly how to look at the market, but mostly location, what's around it. So I looked at this house that I was going to sell for a friend for one of the big companies I was with very shortly. And they're like, that's worth $250. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's $350. And it's, they don't need to do anything to it because I'm looking, it's next to a college. It's going to be an investor coming in to buy it. And they're like, make sure, they do the carpet, floor. And I'm like, no, whoever comes and buy this is going to flip it. And they're going to use that as investment.
Because a massive company is going to come in and buy a property like that, right? Yeah, and they're just going to say, hey, we have the spot. You furnish it or whatever, right? Yeah,
well, they're going to flip it and make it more convenient it was a nice house to be a rental. And that's just my first thought is, look, it's 2 blocks from the college. It's not going to be a single family buyer. It's right off a busy road. It's going to be somebody that's an investor.
See, I would gut that. I would have gutted that and turned that into a beer store. Beer and wine right by a college.
Dance club. It was off, it might have been zone commercial too.
Who
but
knows
we
what that
listed
zone
it, and we did. I painted it just because it was fun to work with my client at the time. We just painted it, and I'm like, just leave it. We're done. Don't do anything else. Sure as hell, investor comes in and offers us $20,000 over cash, what I thought it was worth, which was 70 over what the company thought it was worth. Wow. And I didn't let her do shit to the house. I said, don't touch it. It was his 5th property in the area, and he wanted it actually for his daughter, so they were redoing the whole thing, and her friends. I'm like, it's just so obvious to me.
Yeah, when they come, right?
Yeah.
You know when there's a certain property, for sure somebody's just going to pop in with cash, and they don't care how much they got to spend. They want it. and they're going to get it.
And do you think that's the benefit that you're local? Like, I know sometimes people like to use these, maybe not for commercial so much, but like a Zillow or this or that. Like, use a local person who has the knowledge of the area and the businesses. Like, I just think it's like a no-brainer sometimes, right?
So Zillow's bullshit.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think they're getting way better, like for sure. But I mean, I think they're getting way better. I think even the Appraisal Institute tried to sue them because they're getting so good, and they lost. But I mean, there's a lot of drama there. I don't know what the deal was, but
what was the one that was getting a lot of shit? Maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was Zillow?
Yeah, Zillow was getting sued because they're. I don't know what it was. I didn't really look that into.
They'll always find something, right?
Yeah, anybody can find anything these days for sure.
But do you think though being local helps is an advantage for somebody?
Absolutely. If you know a new development, if you know what the city's doing, like they just redid plans, or somebody's going to start a project soon. I mean, in commercial especially, absolutely. Like, I know they're going to build a new, place here. It'd be a great spot for a restaurant to go in. So keep an eye out for, I mean, that's 120% what it is. And another thing in this market is having somebody that knows like other brokers, because a lot of stuff isn't even going to get to the market. Like, we're kind of, it's not like a bad thing, but hey, I know you need a restaurant space before I list it next week. Do you want, give it to me now. Here, done. So it doesn't even get to the market. And that was kind of the deal, too, with LoopNet and stuff like that. Having a broker working for you, we have stuff that they don't want to list, but we know they'll sell. And we know how much they want. We know, just like keeping it, but they don't want to list it. They don't want it public. They don't want to do that.
So you see the stuff that no one else can see that never gets to the market.
I mean, I've been cold calling for 8 hours a day.
I guess you figure it out eventually.
Click.
You have a list.
Go to hell. Stop calling me. Take my number off your list.
No, not until you lower it, right?
How much?
I'll call you next week. What time's good? Fuck you.
8:30, 1 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm in the tub. It doesn't matter. I got my fourth phone. 4 a.m. I'm calling.
Yeah, that's funny. That's bad. No, well, what do they say? I'd rather get thrown out than never seen it all.
Yeah.
I have that on a T-shirt. No, I'm kidding. I don't. But
you got to make the cam T-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm making that, and I kind of want that one too. Just go door knock. But no, cap the cam for sure.
Cap the cam.
Cap the cam.
That'd be your new slogan. Cap the cam.
I had some wine, and I was just like, you gotta cap the cam. Like, I was so confused.
Like the idea came.
Well, some brokers, I'm like, you guys cap the cam, right? And they're like, no, but I think it's catching on now. Like, you got it. If you're representing the tenant, especially, at least go for it. At
least throw paint at the wall, right? At least try. Yeah. Try not to get murdered. My dumbass just went in and went, Cam, don't know what that is. No. I want this spot. Okay, then I got the bill. I got the payment. Oh, okay.
What happens the next year? You kind of calculate it. People don't anticipate it the first time, but the problem is the next year when it shoots through the roof. Especially if your owner sells a building and the taxes go up, they're footing the tenants are taking the bill.
I had a 3-year lease with the cam. The owner sold the building, just like you said. The cam went up, and I left, and I ate it. I just ate the loss. Yeah. I paid the lease, but I didn't want to be there anymore, and the new owners were just jerk offs. And what's the next thing that's going to go up? The lease, because of A, B, C, D, E. I don't know.
I've been digging. I've been doing a lot of in this market too, subleases and like assignment of leases for people because they don't like where they're at. They know it's going to go out, come off the market real quick. So I encourage people to do that too.
And what's a sublease?
So so they've got into especially for offices, it's kind of more popular because they're not utilizing all the space anymore. So you have 2,000 square feet. You're like, shit, we don't need all this space. I'm going to take 1,000 of it and list it on the market. Lease that out. And then you need the owner's permission, but for most part, you're not going to pick somebody you don't want to be next to anyway. They're going to be, somebody that you would think would be appropriate.
So you're just subleasing that little area?
Yeah. So you're like, so you take 1,000, they sublease 1,000, and, you run it by the owner, obviously. But that's in pretty much every standard lease is saying you have the ability to do that. And then an assignment, on the other hand, is you're like, I hate this location. So I list it. Put it out on the market as an assignment of a lease, and these can be gone in a second because usually anything over a year ago is so lower than it is now, so you can get out of a space pretty easy this way.
Wait, so if I'm in a lease and I want to get out of it, like, it's just bad, it's not for me, it's called an assignment?
That would be where
I contact you.
You contact me, I put it on the market.
Really?
Yeah, and it could fly off too. So let's just say you got locked in at $20 and now it's 30. So I listed at $20. They're like, is that right? And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's an assignment for a lease. The current person wants a different space to be closer to home, whatever the reason is. And then we come in, the person signs the assignment, the owner signs the assignment, and the former tenant, you get your deposit back as soon as the new person puts their deposit in, you're out.
Wow.
You want to make sure they don't get screw it up. You're kind of
like
still
a
responsible at
jerk-off.
some level, but for the most part.
What percentage would you say owners go for that and agree to it?
99.
Really?
If you're going to bring in like some shady person.
Yeah, I'm saying not a jerk off. I mean like a professional person, not some,
in
dummy.
most cases, we try to, especially in this market, there's so many people that are interested in it. We're like, who do you want in here? And we kind of look like you were saying, what would be most suitable? Like Neiman and Marcus up in the Gardens Mall, would, instead of Sears.
It's a better fit.
So it's kind of similar to that. Like, for instance, we would try to match something that's been going with the flow of the place if the person wanted to get out.
To try to
keep it similar, if not, something that, accentuates the building more.
Right.
More foot traffic. It depends on what, is it retail?
So like so if the owner was against it, you would go try to negotiate with them like, okay, this is why you should let me do this assignment, right?
Yeah, you would say, but I think
I'm
by law,
most
leases, they kind of have to come up with a reason why they don't want them, as opposed to being excited about them. So it's for the tenant's sake. They have the ability, in most cases, to say, I don't want, check your leases, but it says, if you have the ability to sublease it, and the owner has to accept anybody reasonable. So they have to tell you why they don't want them. Like if it's somebody coming in to sell like bongs or something, like I don't want glass here, no, and that would be good and probably a sufficient reason. But if it's somebody coming to sell clothes or a little shop or something, why would you say no? Unless their financials were super shitty, but. We say...
as long as you came with a person that can afford the spot that isn't, a wacko, most 90% of the time they're okay with it.
Yeah, the owner's going to be fine with it.
Did you know you could do that?
Yeah, sort of. No, I did. Sort of I did. No,
you didn't.
No, you didn't.
The question I had, though, so you have like these... we call them strip malls back home. I don't know what they call them down here.
Strip mall.
Strip mall. You know what I mean? Just all these different little bits.
Multi-tenant retail type.
Yeah, whatever the proper term is. Strip mall doesn't sound very good, but that's what we call it. But so you have, let's say, a gym, and then you have a flower shop, and then there's a restaurant, whatever's in the strip mall, right? Mm. And I guess it's probably different for everyone. But is the tenant responsible for roofing repairs and their ACs, or is that just depends on who the owner of the plaza is and how that works? Do you know that answer? I just asked that because I have a friend who had rented a place and he got fucked paying a roof bill and a
that's
AC.
going to be in the lease. That's another reason why
lease.
You want to have a broker too, is they can put everything on you down to the foundation in some cases, especially
literally
like a full triple net complete, but that's usually in single tenant. Like with the roof, I would never expect somebody to have to pay for the roof as a multi-tenant, but the AC definitely, and you want to get everything checked out prior to make sure it's in working order by an inspector, and then keep monthly bills and make sure that it doesn't say in the lease that you're entirely responsible. I always say, hey, if you're maintaining it and it's in working order when you first get it and you're keeping note and having somebody real come in to do it, there's no way you should be responsible to pay for, especially if it's like a 10-year-old one. I'm going to be like, hell no. I will pay max 20% for you to put a new one in because I'm not footing the bill for something I haven't been using. But
I wish I had a broker.
Yeah.
All the fucking places I had, I'd have.
It's like a puzzle for me too, and this is all part of negotiation.
I'll tell you off camera who I don't want to blast people, but I know somebody that is they're still renting. They make a good killing at it, so they're not complaining as much. But they had to fix the roof, and they also had to fix the AC. And I was like, I thought that would be part. I guess not. They didn't read their lease too well.
Yeah,
get the broker sitting right across from you, right?
See, another thing too, people are so excited. When you start a business, it is, I've started maybe 30, but you're so excited. You're not thinking.
Like you think this is the one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to stick to real estate. I get my high off watching other people do it. I'm good. But for who knows?
I went through the whole thing. Like you. I thought, all right, this one I'm going to open 3 and then I'm going to franchise it.
Yeah.
Didn't work. For whatever reason, prices went up, or the market just whatever business it was of the 30, I probably had too. It just died out. Like I opened, this will
Never
make
heard
you
that.
laugh.
Yeah.
So when Clinton was getting hit with all the phone shit and the encryption, and she dumped all her stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
With that, I opened up a privacy encryption pro store. So you'd come in and we would encrypt your laptop, your cell phone, your
nice.
iPad, all this shit. So I had this like guy that just sat like this in a chair all day long, you know, like supersonic computer dude with encryption.
Mm-hmm.
Then once the Hillary Clinton thing kind of faded, I started to see less and less and less. Boom, got right out of it.
Oh, geez.
So crushed it for a year and a half and then dumped it.
That's crazy. So what made you stop doing it exactly?
Well, like when they stopped talking so much about the Hillary emails and the dumping and the encryption thing and this and that, and how she wiped it with the whatever the hell she used to wipe it with, you know, everybody was talking about it. So we're going to get our shit encrypted. And we were encrypting things you couldn't even encrypt.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, he found a way to do it. Yes. I don't know.
Nice.
He said it was encrypted, so.
No, you sound like serial entrepreneur. I think if that's who you are, that's what you're doing. I don't even know
I
what
get
it
bored
is.
quick. I get bored quick.
I do. I was same with school. It was like I was real creative too. They didn't like me. Even granted, I gave a couple retirement speeches for a lot of them that I wouldn't expect. I did that too. I'm like, do you know who this is? I was like, holy shit. And I showed up, gave a great speech. Few people cried, but it was like not my thing. I wasn't even rebellious. I was so bored and so it was terrible.
Boring is if something doesn't interest me, I'm terrible. If I'm interested, you know, I'm balls to the wall. But if it doesn't interest me, I'm dumber than a rock.
Yeah.
Like a hammer, like booking a flight. To me, it's just stupid. I can't. If I book a flight, I'll probably end up in, you know, if I'm trying to go to California.
Mexico.
Yeah, when I was going to the Laker games all the time, I never booked that flight because I'd mess it up. I'd end up picking the one with the layover in Chicago.
Tommy's
It's
like,
the
why
worst airport
is
ever.
the cartel outside my airplane?
Yeah, right.
What's going on here?
That's some shit that would happen to me. I'm terrible.
That's so funny. But you can encrypt a freaking computer, though. You know.
Yeah, well, by nature, I'm a coder, which
Oh,
is funny
yeah.
because so I can't book an airplane flight correctly, and I'm not kidding. But I can sit there and read 3,000, 4,000 or 5,000 lines of code and override it
that's
and
fucked
target
up.
and all kinds of
That's
crazy
good.
shit.
Yeah.
But that interests me. Like medical interests me, space interests me. But like swinging a hammer, I hire somebody. I don't want to hammer anything. You know?
No, yeah, same thing. I would skip school and go watch the History Channel. I mean, that's weird.
I like the History Channel.
I love it.
You're going to learn more with the History Channel than you are in school.
Or hanging out at the Capitol when you're little. Holy shit. Was that eye-opening for me?
Yeah,
like and I get asked to do campaigns quite often or get involved and do stuff, and I'm just like, my dad's my favorite candidate. I could find something wrong with anybody. I obviously align more right, way far right. Like, let's say he's fair conservative, not like
super duper.
Like, I used to sit there and drink with the Democrats, in the House. I would lie about my last name. So I wanted to hang out, but I just turned 21. The lobbies were there. We'd have a great time.
All you got to do is dye your hair.
Yeah, well, I do.
You're
I
a
have dark
chameleon.
hair.
So if you ever fuck up, just go. They'll never know who you are. Because I was looking. I was like, is this the same girl? Shit, right? Rob, I asked before you came out. I go,
recently.
if she fucks up, all she's got to do is dye her hair. She's good to go. You'll never know.
It was dark at the time. Actually, it was funny. They went up to my dad. They're like, we want to steal that girl with the dark hair that works with you guys. He's like, who? They're like,
My daughter?
No, he did. That's exactly. He goes, right. I'm like, Dad, he wrecked everything.
He's like, I'm getting you all the secrets.
Your dad sounds like.
I'm a quiet. Like, if I hang out with somebody, I have a rule, like, very strict since I was little. If somebody's not in the room, I won't talk about them, and that's my rule. It's not, nobody knows who I talk. But I was good with that, even with them, and we had a blast. But and Republicans were kind of stuffy back then. Remember that? It wasn't fun.
Yeah, back then my family was all Democrat. They were all
really.
Yeah, back when I was growing up, and then my grandfather wasn't though, and my grandfather, his dad. Sounds exactly like your dad. Right to the point. Yeah. No fucking around. If you want $5, you want McDonald's, you better work for it. Do something.
Nice.
Or you're going to get an ass beat. You get in a fight, I'm going to the other kid's house. If the other kid looks worse than you, I'm beating your ass when you get home too.
Yeah.
But, nowadays you'll do 10 years for that.
No, that's crazy.
It's
crazy.
Bullying. Everybody gets a trophy.
Oh, that's terrible.
All of us work our ass off and everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, how do you even maintain such a society?
It can't.
It can't, especially with the social media and just the social media is just.
I feel like we're kind of on the verge of, like, I think with everything coming out, how fast information travels, I think it does make a difference. But I think people are like, I'm an individual, and maybe I mean, it's like almost you'd have to be like depressed to be wanting to be dependent on something, or
But they
are. I mean, like you'd have to. I just don't understand. I actually feel worse and bad. I know some people get really upset about it, but it's like they're being tricked into this system where you're stuck there.
Yeah.
And it's like one day you wake up and you're like, I don't really like this. Doesn't matter. It's what you're doing. It's what you're doing today, and that's what you're doing tomorrow, and it's going to be the same as yesterday.
Well, just like TikTok,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Right now, people have an attention span on average of 2-3 minutes.
7 seconds.
Or whatever it may be.
7 seconds.
Is that what it is?
7.
I'm like rolling
seconds.
at 4.
7. I think they said a goldfish has a quicker, longer attention span than a human.
It's all
now.
because of that damn phone. I hate that phone. Other than business, I'm on and jump off.
You know what
I post and I run.
You know what I always think about? Okay, so I'm not that old, but not that you're old. You're not older than me, but so remember when you were a kid, right? And you wanted to stay over your friend's house, right? Mm-hmm. So you're at school with your friend, and he's saying, "Hey, Tommy, do you want to stay over at my house tonight?" You're like, "Sure. Let me ask my mom."
Yeah.
But you had to wait till you got home to ask your mom because there's no way to get in touch with your mom.
Yeah.
Or you left the meeting. We left the meeting right now, and you have to tell me something. Oh, Rob, where's that paper that you put the time codes down on? You'd have to wait for me to physically get home and my phone at my house ring for me to pick up and call you back. Some days I'm like, man, I wish you could just go back to that time.
I remember my friend Franco.
Slow it down a little bit.
Franco's parents had the first car phone, and we thought we were the coolest people in the world.
Huge fucking phone.
Yeah,
suitcase.
Yeah, Cadillac. It was huge, and we're like, wow, there's a phone in the car. We're going to.
That's the worst thing that ever happened.
Yeah, we're like, Sal, can you call somebody? And he's calling whoever. God knows what he's doing. You know, it was so cool.
Crazy.
And now
everything's
now
like
we
this.
destroyed ourselves.
Yeah, and I was like, hang on, let me check.
Yeah. See?
I love it though. I mean, I think, but I've offended a lot of people, especially being in real estate. I'm on it all the time. I mean, I don't have it on. This is my office, and it's 24/7. If you're not there for somebody, like one of these businesses, they could do this job without you easy. So you're more of an asset than like.
Yeah, I get it from business.
If you're strong-minded and you can handle it, fine. But the generation like before coming up now.
It's not for business. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. They're not doing business at all. They're just watching stupid shit, drama stuff, chaos. And if they have a boyfriend or husband, they watch that. ID channel. Do you watch ID channel? Don't tell me you don't.
I don't think so. No.
TLC.
I don't even really. I don't
stick to
watch
history.
TV. I play Dr. Mario on my TV.
Good.
I love Dr. Mario. That's how
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Otherwise, I'm in the tub. But no, I don't watch TV. I watched one show, well, a couple that I got into, but no, not a TV person.
Did you see the new Top Gun?
Oh God, that was amazing.
That was killer. I finally saw it.
I didn't see it.
You didn't? What?
I didn't see
it. It's so good.
I went with my dad, and then I went with my oldest brother. The next, I'm like, Paul, you haven't seen this yet? We're gonna go. Like, I thought it was great, and this movie theater had real butter popcorn.
Oh wow!
Just a treat.
The one in Boca is really good.
Is it?
Yeah, they got a movie theater there. They serve you dinner and everything.
Did you watch an IMAX or regular?
Regular, because it came out on Showtime like a week after the theater.
How do they do that? How do the theaters stay open if they're doing that? I don't get it. I don't understand how it works.
I
don't get it.
That's out of my hands.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Be like,
Cartel.
I can't wait till tomorrow.
All the people coming through the border. I don't know. Maybe they want to see a movie in the U.S.
Leaving it open
for free.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Take me through your website.
Oh, I actually, you know what? I got to update this. I'm going to put my Minnesota thing on hold while I build the team in Florida. So, but. What do you want to know?
Well, just take us through it. Services, clients, all that stuff.
Yeah, I should probably get to work on this thing. It's a little I gotta call Carol. No, I'm kidding.
This is really cool here, how you were doing it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It just says I like what I do, and I was experienced through, by doing appraising, I could be dropped anywhere and kind of find a decent market analysis, within, like, I do it old school though. Like, I'll use a chart and then, like, look into what's being built, what would be different about it, see if the zoning I mean, it's a little bit different than a lot of, what your typical broker, like sales.
So now, are these all places that you dealt with?
No, so this is, some of them are whatever they're called. But I took those pictures in Minneapolis. I didn't take
That's a great
that
picture.
one. Yeah. And then some of them are just stock images. Yeah. And I was kind of like that, putting the commercial real estate there in West Palm.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, they can email you off of here.
Yeah.
Right? So go down. That's you, right?
Yeah. That's
Who, is that you?
Hold on, we'll put a side by side here.
You guys, stop.
Let's see.
Is it?
Turn toward the camera. Let's see the side by side.
If you ever mess up, you're good to go.
Did you get me?
I got it.
All right, let me see. Gosh, you guys are terrible. Let me see what this looks like. Actually, we take a picture of the side by side.
I mean,
Are you doing the side by side?
I did before. Yeah, I had it.
Oh, did I miss it? Oh, that's
he did it back
You can't
there.
see it,
Did
you
it
can't
back.
see it.
Go down a little bit,
no,
Rob.
that's fine.
Up.
So
Right there. Off-market investment properties and local government. Can you explain that to me?
So that would be like the zoning stuff. Now I
All
actually have. I don't mind doing it, getting into the zoning stuff, but I have good people that actually do that as by profession, because it is time consuming to actually get that through a process when it is a big deal. If their zoning's wrong and I think there's a problem with it, I might get you unelected. No, I'm kidding. No, but I mean, if they notably, like what happened with that situation, if they wouldn't have fixed it knowing how off it was and just collecting money from people, I might get, more political. But I think as far as that, I have people that will actually go out and work on the zoning to get it through. Like, whether you're going to take a current retail spot that's, a mall that's out of business, you want to do it, multifamily now, like people that will actually take you through the entire process, make sure it's done and at a, in a timely manner. Like, I won't do anything like that, but I know, we have people that do that kind of.
And what were you doing? Going back and forth from Florida to Minnesota, to Minnesota?
And I don't really do that because my immediate family finally moved down here, which is nice. I'm real close to them. Yeah, so it's been about 3 months up in Minnesota, so I got my license up there, but now I strictly do like referrals up there too. So I treat it like I do residential here. I just send people
Referrals to
business.
good
Hey,
people.
if you have somebody coming to Florida for commercial, send it. Actually, even residential, so I can send it to one of my residential agents. But yeah, all referrals up there.
Now, when we were talking about the system, when you went back to Minnesota and we're working on their, like, I'll just call it a portal. When you're in their portal in Minnesota versus here's like, you're at Hershey Park or whatever park, you're at Disneyland here, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to Minnesota and you're back in 1952.
It's crazy. Well, that's what I was telling people too, is we're seeing trends here way before that. And I don't, it's like,
That's pretty cool though, because then you could predict what eventually will come there, right?
Yeah. And I've given a few. I just haven't had time to be up there. But I mean, there is an opportunity when I slow down a little bit here, once I get a team going and things like that, is to go up there and be like, hey, I got an idea.
When you see it happen here, right?
I know it works.
It's my idea, right?
I just put them in certain locations and stuff. I think that'd be fun.
Fuck
but
that! I'd say
just
it's
be
my
ahead-
idea. It's my idea. I'm patenting it.
Yeah, Jim, I've been doing that for years.
So if somebody needs you as a broker, what else could we hire you for here in Florida?
I don't do politics much anymore. I like meeting and talking with people, maybe kind of consulting, but that's very rare. And I do keep that quiet, for the most part. Like I encourage good people to run for office. If they're trying to get away from it, I want them even more to run. They're usually probably the better ones. So I like that. But that's commercial real estate's great for me. That's it.
So if you're into commercial real estate in Florida, go to your website,
yes, absolutely.
contact
Go to the
you.
website. Yeah, get my number there, 561, or shoot me an email. Absolutely. And then just tell me what you're looking for, what you need to do if it's a business. I do investments. If you are doing 1031, it would be a pain in the ass right now. I'm just going to throw it out there. But, we can do that. Find properties based on type if you're looking for a lease or if you want to purchase. I'm having a lot of people come to me to lease, and they're like, shit, we're buying. This is nuts. Even with interest rates up, it's like the rental rates are through the roof. So if you can find some for sale, we'll get it for you. But that's even difficult, too. It's a fun market, I think. A little stressful at times when people are at a timetable, especially before season's coming around. But now's the time. If you want something to be going in the season, you got to do it now. Yesterday, like you said, 2 months ago, probably.
The place I used to rent
But it's doable.
was at the Quay. And when I was there, it was maybe 3 years ago. It was like 3,800. That same place now, 7,200.
Oh,
Easy.
Same place,
Yeah.
3,800 3 years ago.
That's crazy.
And you know who's paying that? Tony Aeo.
Tony.
7,200.
Holy
Do you know
shit.
Tony?
No, I don't know,
Yeah.
Tony.
Oh,
And then you're still working with Seawinds?
Yes. Yep.
Click on the next tab, Rob. And what all do you do with Seawinds?
So this is not. Is this a? Is Seawinds Investments? There should be two.
Okay. Which
Well,
one?
it's not a big deal, but so I do. I'm probably. I don't think I'm the only commercial agent there, but it's just a very small brokerage. Like,
I think
you
I
know.
saw like 18 people.
So, and we do business brokering too. Actually, Don, who I work with, has been doing that for 30 years. So, what I noticed when I was cold calling, especially when properties were purchased before a certain time, just how I set up the search, so I know they're more likely to sell. But they're all like, "Yeah, I want to sell my business too, or retiring." And I'm like, "Okay." I called Don. He's like, "Yeah, I've been doing that for 30 years." I'm like, "Perfect." So we'll combine the two. If you want to sell your real estate with your business, we'll do that too.
And then you do land, right? Like land, like land.
Land
purchase?
sales.
Yeah.
Yep. And ground.
How does that
lease-
work? That's
ground
interesting.
leases, too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I have some land for sale right now that's in Boynton Beach, and they're just two houses. But it would be great for a hotel. It's right on, you just get water views, and it can be built up to 10 stories if it's mixed use, which means there'd be retail on the bottom, houses up top, or residential up top. So, like, it's two houses right now. So we look at it in prospect, what could this be, not only based off zoning, but also like what kind of potential it have, and retail multifamily would be gorgeous there. It'd be perfect, both, as an investment. And that's how we kind of look at things. So I look at a piece of land, somebody wants to sell it, what would be the best use? The highest and best use is kind of the most referred to thing. Like in appraising, that's what we
Is that really difficult to appraise the value of a land, or not? Not really.
I mean, you do something as complete, just kind of like a pro forma. What is the rent? What would, if you were to fill this building, how many square feet usually you can build, you know what types of uses you can have there. I've met people though that took land and it was zoned one thing. They'd go get the zoning change and made $5 million on it.
Wow.
So that's always something you can do. It's harder to do now, but it was a thing. So people would hunt down land, change the zoning because it's such a pain in the ass, and then sell it for millions more than what they originally purchased. But as far as dictating, what you look at the highest and best use, what is the location? Are there any projected, buildings going to go up or projects that would make this more beneficial as, say, retail or office? And you look at the trends, too, like with industrial is impossible to find right now.
Is it really? It's impossible to find. Why?
It's just e-commerce. I think the people want. People are using it all. Amazon bought a lot of it, but buildings and stuff and I think they're going to start getting into auto.
Amazon is?
Like having machines as opposed to people in America.
Oh yeah.
I think that's going to be a huge trend because then you don't have to worry about paying your people crying about $15 an hour for doing what. But I don't have a standpoint on that. But it's industrial's huge right now. You can't find it, and that's one of the things that have like almost tripled in rent. Like
That's like.
Go
ahead. No, go ahead.
well, I talked to some of the bigger like brokerages, and they do it by type. I do all types because I appraise all types, and I feel confident and comfortable. But industrial was my favorite to do because it's kind of complex. You need to know what kind of doors you need, what kind of clear height. There are certain questions you need to be asking prior to even begin looking at it. You're going to waste a lot of somebody's time.
What's considered industrial? What do they consider to be labeled as industrial?
We have flex space too, but industrial is usually just, think of a big
like a warehouse?
Building. Like this wouldn't even be remotely close. Yeah, warehouse. But there's flex. So there's flex industrial, which means you have part office, maybe 30%, and the rest is a warehouse. So you have, it's good for shipments. It's good to have administration up front, that type of thing. But warehouse, usually they have the big doors. It's easy enough to say is they're going to have some kind of drive-in door, even if it's just a lift.
And have you seen that dry up in Florida?
You can't find it. Like I was going to say, like the bigger companies, they'll have people segmented for, just industrial, just office, just retail. And their industrial people are like, we can't get any industrial, so we got to go do retail for a little bit. Like they're getting retyped, I guess, which is what you could say, because it's just, you cannot find industrial right now. It's very difficult. And it's expensive, super expensive to rent it.
Now, like with Seawinds and what you're doing, how does the inflation how does inflation affect all of this? What role does inflation play? We're not just talking about real estate. We're talking about appraising things, zoning things, all this commercial property.
Yeah.
How does the inflation and all of this combine? Like, how does that affect each other?
I mean,
I would assume with the
anything,
inflation,
it drives the cost up,
because the interest rates go up because the banks want to make sure when the interest rates go up, right? That's when they're worried about lending the money, right? They see shit's getting bad. And correct me if I'm wrong. And then they raise it because they want to make sure that the person who's getting that $1 million house is really qualified for it. So they up the interest rate so that those that they're giving loans to are only able to afford that loan at that rate. And they can see that they can afford it, so it's like a protection for the bank. Do I have that right, or am I totally off and should just go back to school or something?
No, I mean, I think you're onto something. But I think as far as like commercial real estate, it being affected in South Florida, I mean, inflation is just not a real good thing, especially when it's up this high. I mean,
it's higher than what they're telling you.
I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to that. I mean, as far as even interest rates going up, it's in a market like South Florida where the supply is in demand. Like, it's not affecting prices, if that's what you're asking. Like,
it's not.
No, I mean, like, it's not going to affect it as much as like outside of the state. Like it is going to have an effect on it. But we're having people move down here in such herds, like supply and demand. What are they willing to pay, as opposed to, I don't want to take out that big of a loan on. A lot of people do finance commercial real estate. It's like 70-30 because they have leases and whatnot and stuff like that. Their investments, but I think they're looking at it as it's not good for anybody, inflation, but I don't know if that answers. I don't know exactly what you're asking.
Okay, so like Minnesota.
Yes.
Right, because Florida's different. It's probably a bad one to use an example because everybody's moving here. Mm-hmm. So now Minnesota. Yeah. How has inflation affected Minnesota as far as real estate, lending, everything else? I think I can't say with confidence because, again, I haven't even looked at that market up there. I was up there for 3 weeks visiting family over the summer, but I used to just, glance, keep an eye on it. Right. Yeah. But I think as a general national, I think Minnesota would be worse. I think a lot more people might be leaving there, but I think what would be going on typically is you have less people buying and you have more people putting their house on the market. But they did say about houses, too, is a lot of people have equity in their homes because after the crash, the new people that bought them got them at a good rate, and then they've been paying successfully up until now, so they have a lot of equity in their homes. So, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah, I mean, I think it did affect the market absolutely from people buying more. Yeah, because especially with interest rates going up. And what's the interest? What's it at now?
5.
Oh, it went down a little bit. It was at 6.
Maybe 6, maybe 5 or 6.
I thought it went up a little bit.
What's it usually at?
What was that? What?
Well, the last 2 years was like what?
3,
2.7, 3.
Too low. Yeah, low.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. That was good.
Go over to the next tab. Not that one. The next one. That one there. Okay, 5 commercial real estate auction myths. If a property is up for auction, there's something wrong with it. Would you agree with that?
No, false.
False. Nice. You can't look around before bidding. It's bullshit, right? Yeah. You'll get swindled with hitting costs. Well, we know that's true.
Well, we just had that cam.
Yeah, your boy just got rocked. Go to the next one.
That's it?
Yeah, go to the next tab.
Oh, sorry.
I just put it off. The 10 most common real estate myths debunked. Now, you tell me if you agree. Right. Rob, read them off.
Myth number 1. Selling your home FSBO, for sale by owner, will save you money. I'm going to say false.
Oh, I'm going to say false.
Yes.
Yeah, if you have a good agent.
If you have a good agent, right?
Yeah,
that's the key.
Otherwise,
true.
you could lose a lot of bucks. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, we can debate these.
Myth number 2: buyers get a better deal if they don't use an agent. Again, probably not true.
Like that house, if those people would have thought it was worth $100 less, didn't know that they were a good investment property, you're screwed.
You know what, though? Everyone, I would say 8 out of 10 people think that, though, right?
They do. Well, they think they get the most.
Because you don't got to pay the agent.
I don't got to pay them, but then when they don't use it and then they fuck everything up, they're like, damn, I should just taking that 2% that's going to the agent or 3% and just giving it to them because you've lost it anyway.
But, on the outside looking in, you're thinking, well, I don't got to give, whatever percent to...
Well, I always say, too, with residential, I'm guilty. I'm like, no, sell your house, list it, get an attorney, pay him $500, or a flat fee to have it listed on MLS, $500. My agent.
But I guess if you sort of have some background in it, if somebody's just like has no clue, I would probably say, right?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah. Most of these people had done real estate, right? But it's in today's, I suppose, that'd be difficult to do if you didn't know what the hell you're doing.
But you made a good point, though. You said get an attorney.
Oh,
so that
to
attorney would know what to do,
Yeah.
versus paying, whatever.
You're going to get the
percentage.
same blast. I mean, MLS will tell you quicker if it's off the market and as soon as it gets on, which is important in this market, but pretty sure everyone's going to get the same information just off the internet, like immediately. Yeah. I wouldn't advise it for a commercial again, but sorry, residential.
You got a hole in your head if you're doing that. You got some wires crossed.
Yeah.
The elevator ain't going to the top.
Agents are interchangeable. Well, I mean, no.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know.
If you see a home online, that means it's available.
No.
Nope.
That's a myth.
Online resources can do it all.
No, remember what happened with that company even that just started using that new program to figure out what the values are? No, bad idea. Now it's better.
With the values.
It was kind of like a new Zillow for them. And it's like, no, you got to remember there's a college there. That's an investment property.
I kind of missed that.
This isn't the house down the road in a quiet neighborhood. This is investment property.
If you've bought or sold a home before, you'll be a pro your second time around.
Oh, obviously.
And what's the average? Is it like 10 years that everyone's...
I thought it was 3 to 5. Now I'm sure it's a year. I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know. In politics, we'd have the same call-outs for every 3 to 5 years. And then you'd have a lot more or less.
Price your home higher so you have room to negotiate.
I think that I say put it higher, right?
Okay, so price your home higher so you have room to negotiate. No, so that's hit or miss. So you can miss people out of your price range, and then they don't like your house because it's not as comparable as other ones. And I really don't like, and it works in a lot of cases, especially when the market was as tight as it was right before they increased interest rates in all states. Florida's still hopping, but it was people would do what's called like an auction. So they'd actually list it lower. And then they would just get tons of traffic and then have all these bids on it and be like, no, we got a bid. And it would drive the cost up. No, it did work.
Yeah, it was a bidding war.
Yeah, and then, so it's just, but it's like no matter how, it's hit or miss. I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know. There's ways to do it. It really depends.
Right.
I had a blast selling houses, though.
I bet you did.
I did.
I could see you loving that.
Oh, it was so fun doing the.
So with that one, I guess it would come down to, what are you selling? What's the location, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on and so forth. Because if it's something that's hot and like super high demand, then maybe you would want to do
like
it
a duplex.
Right.
You're not, you can.
And maybe the past 2 years, but like right now, if you let's say, I'm going to sell for this,
they'll just come in cash and they'll buy.
Well, maybe Florida, right? I guess maybe Florida.
Florida market's nuts.
Yeah,
it is crazy. I love it.
I know 5 guys that they went. It was already 200, 300K over what it was, say 3 years ago. They're like, oh, fuck it, and just get in the house. Boom, somebody comes in, cash buy, say 900K, right? The house is really 600K 3 years ago. They got it listed at 920. All right, we're getting it. Somebody from New York comes in, cash buy, 1.1 million.
Because
what?
They're saving money. They're like, fuck, my taxes suck up here, and I'm actually going to save money. I'm actually saving money.
But the house 3 years ago was worth 500K, and they're coming in cash buy 1.1. What the fuck is happening to this world?
We're getting a lot of big companies down here, too, which is even making the housing crap way more crazy. Like, people are driving around neighborhoods knocking on doors, like real people that want the house, I guess. Yeah, and they're, like, offering them, like, an insane amount of cash.
I get shit in my little mailbox thing, and I always think it's fake.
Well, is that because
no, it's probably real.
That's
real
because
people.
what the demand is so much that there's actually not enough houses for sale. Right? I mean, that's what it is,
there's not. No, people are going to houses that they
that
like,
literally
asking to buy them in neighborhoods and things like that. Yeah, it's like there is no market. Like it's hard to gauge. Like it's like how much are you willing to pay?
Yeah.
Well, I want X amount.
You said there's no market. There's no market. It's like
tough to gauge. Yeah.
You better if you find something, you better buy it that day, right?
Oh, I mean, you should have bought it yesterday, but second. Yeah. Give them
before it's another 100,000, right?
Yeah, I mean, people are writing notes of why they want the house. Like it's got intense. I think it's like, here's our situation. We love this house because it reminds me of me when I was a kid, and I want my daughter in the same. And that does kind of work if you tap into people's emotions.
And they'll pay $1.3 million cash when the thing was $400K 3 years ago. I've seen it happen over and over here.
It's triple in some cases, if not more. It's crazy. We're past 2008, I think. as of recently.
Now, how does before we go to the next myth, how does that end? Because it's so high, it's 3 times what the price is, if not.
I mean,
more,
I
right?
think the migration level is kind of outside of my understanding. I think for a lot of people, it's kind of weird. I mean, the politics is really driving people down here, if anything. I mean, people are fed up. Like they're like, no,
They've had it.
do see if I pay, like he was saying, if I pay an extra 100 to 200 grand, I'm going to save that in taxes next year because we don't have an income tax. And like corporations that are coming down here are saving so much money, and they're dumping so much money just to get these properties because they're like, you know how much money I'm saving next year? Do you know how much all of us are saving next year? So I think it's dumb for states, and I hope they finally realize that we cannot tax people to death.
But the other states, like here, it's a different ball game. But other states are, when this has to pop, right?
Yeah.
It has.
I can't. I don't. The whole. I don't know. I mean, I would think so traditionally.
Right. I mean,
something's got to give. But I think I'm more optimistic. Like something in the future is going to change. Like our perspective. Like as far as energy shit like that. But I mean, I think the government should stay out of it.
Listen, you talk to some CIA guys. That optimism is going to go right down the fucking toilet.
I did. I was just watching. Somebody sent me a couple of videos. I think it was like a Jesse Ventura video or something.
Don't watch any of the guys that are writing on air.
I don't get too into it, but that something weird's going on. I mean, if you have any sense of an intuition, it's But I try to be optimistic. Like we're in a good state too for the most part. We got a good governor, but it's a weird deal. It's weird all around.
And what's the next one?
If you renovate your home before selling, you will get dollar for dollar return on your investment. I would say.
I would say that depends, right?
It depends.
Again, it goes back to that. Is it going to be an investment property for somebody? If they come in and flip it anyway, did you just waste a ton of money by doing that? So it varies. And in other people, too, when you're buying $1 million houses, I do like houses, but when you're buying like millions of dollars, you have the funds to make it the way you want. And usually they're going to do that. So to leave it open and just leave it like in a livable condition and just have people come and do it themselves, especially when you get in that price range. And I'm talking Florida. Up north, it would be better if you had a single-family house and it wasn't ready for somebody to move in and a family is looking at it right by a school. You're going to want to make it livable and just use like a coat of paint that's neutral and just have it ready to go. And that would make a difference.
Actually, now that I think about it, I can relate to that one because remember when we were growing up, I don't know if we were guys, you would deck out your car, make it look cool, get some rims or like a stereo. You'd be like, yeah, when I trade this in, I'm going to get, $3,000 more. No. But then when you go to trade it in, they're like, nobody wants this shit.
Yeah, that happens a lot too.
You look like you just came out of the ghetto. Where's the gold chain?
If the investment is to get the appliances in working order, keep it neutral, maybe stick to a current trend, and then ship it out. Depends though. Is it a single family or is it going to be an investment that they're going to flip anyway and be upset that they have to pay extra for it? Really but in this market, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, all traditional, I guess,
the window,
hypotheses are out the window, right?
Yeah.
And then, truth does, agents just want to make a sale. Well,
I mean,
it depends on who the agent.
If they're hungry, I don't buy into that. But I mean, I don't know. It depends on there's so many brokers and so like agents. There's so many agents, and it's like. You know who you're working with, just if they're hit, especially in this market, are they out door knocking for you? Like I used to door knock. Like if somebody wanted something, I'm going to go find what they want. I'm not just going to pick something out of the market, but I overdid it too, but I got repeat clients and I always get,
you got repeat clients because Florida is the state of manipulators. They'll come and sell you the biggest pipe dream. I can't believe the difference between up north and here. These guys for 3 years, they'll hang out with you. Sell you the biggest pipe dream, and then the second they get you where they want you, they'll just hit you.
You do got to be. I mean, I was fortunate. I met a lot of good people, but I have been screwed out of a lot of money. But again, I was kind of sloppy too. I wasn't getting stuff signed. I got excited about stuff, and I would just ship it out. And now I'm like, who do I want to work with? Is this going to be some, scam?
And for me, I thought here was like Pennsylvania, maybe Minnesota, where pretty much there's like this thing called loyalty to an extent.
Well, everybody knows each other kind of in Minnesota, so if you get a bad rep, and down here in commercial real estate, it's you kind of get familiar with everybody. You get a lot of the same people buying properties that are investors. You get a lot of the same brokers. It's a smaller community. And, some of the brokers that were very rude to me when I first, because I wasn't, that great, but it kind of sticks in your memory that, like, you were kind of rude.
I remember you.
You screwed me on $100,000, and now we're working on something that could be potentially worth $150,000. I would never sabotage my client over bad feelings towards another broker, but that sticks with you. I don't really want to work with you, but we'll get it done. And you can kind of feel the tension. Like, no, you're not scared. Not this time, pal.
And in my case, it was businesses. I would have a business partner that I became friends with, dinner with, hang out with, and they would hang out for 2-3 years. They had it first. I just came in. They might have the 51. I got the 49. And then one day, just whenever they felt ready.
Yeah, business partners, it's a tough deal. I've had a few, and I don't think I'll do that again.
Because up north, you could give your word. Like, okay, we're going to do business. Okay, we don't need all this paperwork bullshit. Let's just make it work.
There's everywhere.
Yeah,
I see
not like
people,
here.
when I first moved to Florida, they're like, it's got to be crazy with people. And I'm like, I have met some pretty shady people up there, but it's almost like they're more strategic in places.
Strategic,
strategic.
Yeah, that's the
like
better
they're
word.
They're experts.
They're expert, strategic.
And once you think
Whatever.
you'll learn it, it's like somebody more
Yeah.
better comes in. You're like, dang it! Like I have a pretty solid intuition. Otherwise, I don't think I would have made it down here. But it's which has fared me well. But at the same time, I always think good of people. Like there's no way they would do that, even though the thought occurred to me. And sure as hell, they did.
The
do
thing
that.
is, and with this business shit, I saw so much in Philly, and I just wanted to think better. You want to be optimistic. Like, no, he's a good guy. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, that works out
And
well.
the excitement's always an issue.
Yeah, because you're down here. Okay, this is work. Florida, it's hot. I don't have to shovel this year. I don't have to pay somebody to shovel. Right?
Love what I do, and then I'm getting yelled at.
Gloves?
Why
What
did
are-
you do that?
What the fuck are gloves? Out the window. Knit hat. Burn them. Throw them in the fire pit.
I did like winter. I just didn't like the negative degree for months on end.
that's.
I mean, it just gets old. You can't be in the. I couldn't be in the house that long.
And it's cloud. I don't know how it is in
Oh
Minnesota,
no,
but
it's
cloudy.
so gross. That gets me every time.
It's like depressing.
I'm like I like fall. I love the smell of fall, the
And the
look
leaves,
of it.
right?
But I gotta get out of here right now. I'm getting like weird.
Cloudy
Getting
all the
weird.
fucking time. There's no. Ugh. Remember that, Rob? Ugh.
People don't notice up there. I'll mention it, and they just think I'm like.
Well, they don't leave.
Wrecking
That's
the
like a-
cloudy day, but I'm like, you guys, I don't know.
It's like every time I see my buddies or see the post online, it'll be like, the winter. So let's say winter starts in November, which sometimes it's October. It starts getting cold. But let's say November. November to say February, March. Usually by April it starts to get warm. So you're talking November to April. Then in April, they'll be posting their diet plans and their workout plans because they've gained like 60 pounds just sitting inside. So like
True,
heavy
right?
workout, heavy diet plan. I'm like, what the hell? You look like, oh yeah, you gained like 40 pounds, man.
Yeah, I'm bulking. It's winter. I'm bulking.
Yeah, bulking
Bulk,
season.
I'm about
Bulking
to cut.
season.
I'm cut-
Bulking season. Yeah.
I'm cutting in June.
Correct.
Cutting in June.
Yeah, no, it's
Meanwhile, no, you were sitting on the couch drinking beer.
That's what hibernation, man.
you eat like heavy foods to stay
Yeah.
warm.
Yeah.
Like it's real homey.
It's like a bear. It's hibernation time.
Got
I
the
have
heat
like
on.
roast and like potato, like just like I
Yeah.
don't know what is it, a hot dish? Like it's just tater tots covered in meat.
Oh, cheese.
Oh, yeah. I do kind of miss the smell of like the heat clicking on though.
The what?
I think we had like an oil furnace or something.
Oh, I love the smell. My dad used to smoke a pipe, and we had wood burning fireplaces on
Yeah,
our slab.
yeah.
That smell, and we would chop wood. It was real kind of old school in a sense, but the smell of it while we're watching a movie with popcorn is
Nothing's
that
better.
brings me right.
Nothing's
back.
better.
I
That's
love
home
that.
to me. That
That's-
smell is home to me.
Yeah, nope, I agree with that for sure.
Go to the home appraisal one.
And the
It's
smell of a
special.
snowmobile, that's always nice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you really gun it,
Yeah.
when you're not like a little bit more than you're supposed to.
You know, I've done that. I flew off the back of one.
Did you?
I had a shitty like Yamaha 250 for my sled, and then my brother got a racing sled, and they're like, "Yeah, fine, yeah, you can drive it." And
Those racing ones
I
move. You
punched it
can't punch
down.
those.
I did 2 somersaults off the back and like hit my head, but because my snowmobile takes like a couple minutes to get up to 50 miles an hour.
He
This
has
shot up
a
to 80.
racing snowmobile.
Yeah, and I shot it down Arctic or something, but I
Like remember
it's
racing?
nuts. Yeah.
Racing. You want to just gently.
Oh no, I learned it.
Yeah,
Never again.
You learned when you were 10 feet behind you.
Takes one time. Takes one time. Oh, that was funny though.
An appraisal is the same thing as a home inspection.
No, not even close.
And you know what? I would have said, yeah, it's the same shit.
No, not
appraiser
at all.
works for
Actually,
You're on the outside though.
we don't even we actually stayed in there. This is not a home inspection. Like you're very, you got to say that in all of them is we don't do that.
A lot of
completely
people
separate.
think it's the same.
No, they are so far from different. So far, yeah, no.
The appraiser works for the buyer.
No, absolutely not. That's illegal.
Unless you want a fucking case,
actually,
right?
If you guys remember a long time ago when we, like they actually started regulating the appraisal because, you couldn't, and you can't really talk to the mortgage companies, can't talk to anybody. Like, it's just give us the value, for the most part.
Because there's too much
Because
shady.
it was, if you're matching, I mean, that's highly illegal for one, but it's, no, you can't do that.
An appraisal will give you the magic number of what the buyer will pay.
See, again, the same
Yeah.
thing. No, you can't do that. Some were doing that. They're out of business after 08 for sure.
The bigger the house, the higher it will appraise.
I mean, it depends.
Depends on
there
where
could
it's
be
obsolete.
no, there could be a lot wrong with it. That's a loaded question.
The more bells and whistles, the higher the appraisal.
Not at all. Depends on the market.
And all amenities are created
You can,
equal.
you go to some of these houses on Palm Beach and they'll have like these big lanterns that they might put in there. Otherwise, they're going to take it out. But that doesn't really affect the appraisal.
You know when you make a right out here and, a couple celebrities live down the street?
Alapin
Right here, Ocean Boulevard.
Oh, yeah, Billionaires Row.
How much do you think we always guess what they are. If you keep going down that way, there's not one house there, right? That's less than, 200 million?
Oh, the big one?
Oh,
Yeah.
No. And what's funny about that, again, it goes
Nobody's
back to
ever
how
there.
much money you have. They'll buy it and tear it down and build exactly what they want. So
I never see anybody in them.
Yeah, well, they come for a season. The season is when they show up. They might be here year-round now. Like
Yeah.
Trump.
What do you think that lawn care is? That lawn care's got to be $20,000 a month.
Those are so pretty.
That's beautiful.
That's my favorite road. I used to live on the north end. I would drive by and I'm just like, listening to good songs, the best. Yeah.
I just see those land guys out there and nobody going there. I'm just thinking, dude, what are you doing there? You can afford 20 grand in land? I mean, it's got to be 20. It has to be, right?
Well, think of their taxes too.
And then the taxes.
It's like 600. I mean, more than that. It's not.
What would the property tax be? Say here in Palm Beach Island on say a $400 million house.
I would have to look it up. I mean,
Just
it would
guess.
be in excess of $500,000, I would guess.
plus the lawn care that Palm Beach Island
if
says.
you can afford
Well,
a
they
$400
have
million
staff
house.
and chefs and well, it's
I know. I'm sure you've read it, but the guidelines for the lawn care. Oh my gosh!
for Palm, yeah, it's so pretty though.
It is. I mean, it is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for spending the $500,000.
Yeah. Thanks for spending the $500,000. Now, as being a woman and doing all this, do you think it works to your advantage, disadvantage?
I think I hear to my advantage because I know what I'm doing. And I'm not I'm not real hard to look at, So
Yeah,
it's,
you're not like a beast.
And I think they think like more honesty, I've heard it probably is to my advantage, especially because I'm one of few that does commercial real estate. As of now, more women have gotten into it, but the majority of them are, 40, 50 plus. A lot of the brokers themselves are 40, 50 plus, and, I'm my age.
And you know your shit.
And
I mean, you know your stuff.
Doing appraising, really that's me doing an appraisal. That's what I used to do. That's insane. It was a lot.
It reminds me of I had hired a retired structural engineer when I had an engineering firm. He was part of building Miami University.
Oh, cool.
So when I got in the engineering firm, I hired everybody off Craigslist. All kinds of guys that were retired, and I figured they have to want to get away from their wife. They have to. They've worked, 40 years, 10 hours a day. Now they're stuck in that house with that wife bitching about everything all day long. I'm serious. Half of my engineers were all off Craigslist, 50 plus.
Well, see, when I put a team together, I do definitely want a few people that are kind of retired and just want to keep working.
But they would do it like that. I'd be like, do you want AutoCAD? I got AutoCAD here. No.
They did it old school.
They did it old school. And the one and the only guy, and I bring him up, Jorge, who did my structural engineer, when we did the breakers, the Italian restaurant, the column was falling over into the pool section, pretty much. I always say this, the owner will not answer the phone until after 5. He has 20 TVs in his house. The place could be on fire. The breakers could be on fire. And until that bell rings on Bloomberg, you can't get a hold of him. They could hit him with the thing to knock the door down.
Yeah.
He probably has a barrier there till 5 o'clock. You can't get a hold of him. So we have a crane there, right? By the hour. He's paying for it, but by the hour. And we're calling and we're trying to get a hold of him. Hey, get everybody away from the pool. And, where the sauna is, or not the sauna, where they give you back massages and all that shit.
Spa.
Yeah, so we couldn't do anything until the bell rang at 5. So now we're there till like midnight doing this with a crane and fucking lights brought in. It was just nuts. But he would do it just like that, and he fixed it.
Well, see, that was what I liked about working for JC or John Chow, is he was very, we couldn't use electronic measures when we were building. We had to use the old school one, and very specific. And it does make a difference. You should throw that crap off 2 inches. You're doing a big building and in a room, and you're multiplying it, and you can't go off the assessor's numbers. That'd be psychotic. And, they make changes to the building. He was very specific. So I walk into a building and I'm like this, like just looking for everything. And I'm like, are you sure this is, agent verify? I was very fortunate to be able to work with him for a while. He's a very good appraiser. Everything
that guy did, he did it like that. And it was perfect. When the other guys wanted to use the software, nothing like that.
I am not a big fan. I get it. They're getting better at it. But I think you got to physically go and do things.
Yeah, because he would just sit. It would take him longer, but he'd have his little octagon thing and all kinds and drawn. And the guy was just a monster. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? We got AutoCAD here. No, I don't want that. It don't work. It don't work.
My dad's 82. He still goes out surveying, and does
he?
Yeah, he still goes. He goes. If I retire, I'll die. So it's just to keep him just busy, basically.
Probably true.
But he goes out. He told me the story. He went out with one of the younger guys. And, everything now with surveying, it's all electronic too, digital, all this type of stuff with the machine. I could vaguely remember what he's talking about. There was like an old surveying machine that you'd set it down, right? And it had it looked like a steel, like triangle. I don't know how this shit works. I'm just speaking what I saw. And you have your point over here and you measure this and do this. So he writes everything down with a piece of paper and a pencil. Right? No calculator. Writes all the stuff down.
Same shit with
and
this
uses
guy.
This old machine, right? And they're always making fun of him stuff. Well, they went out, this was maybe about 6 months ago. And guess what? The machine that the guy was using wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So guess what he did? He goes, oh, the machine doesn't work. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have it right here. And the kid just looked at him and goes,
yeah, I love that. Yeah?
Me too.
Not a bad deal.
I loved it. At first I was like, Jorge, we got to get this done. Because, it would take longer to do it like that. No.
Yep.
Jorge, I got the best one for you. I can get it. No. And he would want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Not bothered, and he'd have 17 different, triangle things and some
That's
shit.
So funny. When I did appraisals, I'd play like John Coltrane and just lock myself in there, and I'm like reading everything. Like I had a very good teacher, I guess, mentor for that area. And then I looked at him one day. We're both like, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna snap. Like I need people, and I need to get out of the office.
You're gonna lose your mind,
now.
right?
Yeah. And he's like, you would be indispensable at any commercial brokerage you go to. Like any company, anywhere you go.
Good for you.
You would be indispensable because of what you've learned the last year and a half. I'm like, okay, because I felt I was kind of sad. It just
wasn't
and then
you.
I got out of it, and I'm like, oh, that was so beneficial and so grateful that I did go through that. And I'm so glad I'm out of there. But it was good, yeah.
And then you're doing a little bit of coaching?
No, not yet. Well, we're going to start education videos, and I kind of want to do it both for, we just discussed, if a business person Googles, I want to do a lease, and it's like, whoa, just be aware if these things are going to broker, whatever. Not just to get more business, but to make people aware, because I think it's unfortunate when you sign on to a lease and you do get caught off with unexpected expenses, or you're stuck fixing the roof, and you don't know that you signed up to repair an AC that's 10 years old, 2 years into your lease. So I think it's good to be aware of those kind of things, and just capping the cam, just a bunch of different things I want to cover.
Yeah. Just the things I learned from you just sitting here. I didn't know you could cap the cam. I didn't know you could negotiate all kinds of other things. I didn't know what half of this shit meant, because there's so many different labels in this real estate thing, or whatever you want. I don't even know what you want to call it. Market.
Mm-hmm.
There's
it is.
10 million different things.
Yeah, that's what I love about it too. It's just one big puzzle.
One big puzzle. Well, for the guy on the outside that doesn't know anything, it's like, what?
Yeah, no.
What is this one? What is that one? What is this one?
You don't
want to
learn the hard way, because that's a lot of money, and it could sabotage. Come COVID or something like that, and you're stuck with more. Taxes didn't go down during COVID; they're still going up, and you get hit with unexpected expenses. It's not good.
Now, do robots concern you at all, as far as getting in your way?
Oh, no, no. I got I can do other things, but I think person to person's. I'm not worried about them, if that's what you're asking. I find the whole thing intriguing, like AI, but I think they're. Are they far out from making it like a human with emotions, I think so. Like, it would be tough to do, but I do think a lot of people would feel threatened by the idea of like more like automated things. I think residential, again, I tell some people, if you're capable of doing it, list it for 2% to offer the other side, and don't get a broker on your side if you're even slightly familiar with it. But even then, it's, you want to be very cautious. That's a huge amount of money. It's some of people's only and biggest purchases of their life. So why not use assistants to do it? But and then commercial real estate, I think it's good. Like, I know a lot of the stuff that's coming out of the market way before it comes on the market, and a lot of it won't make it on the market. A lot of the best deals are done off market. They never even knew there was a transaction. I mean, there's a transaction, but you don't know that it was available at any point in time.
Yeah, after you answering a lot of questions I didn't know, I don't think robots will really affect the real estate too much, do you?
Commercial.
Because I think they're about 10, 15 years away from conscious.
I think real estate, a lot of the agents, if you're not really working hard like anything you're doing, you're not going to make it. And I think, residential, I know a ton of people that make very good money, and I know people that get into it thinking it's going to be easy. And it's like, if you're acting the way you're acting, somebody can go online and get it without you. I mean, you just have to be on top of your game, and you have to know your stuff like anything. So,
I think it'll be, I think they're going to be huge. I think they'll be here with a conscience within the next 10, 20 years. I really do. But I think someone like you, and I'm not saying this because you're sitting across from me, that is well educated, you know what you're talking about, I think you'll survive that.
Yeah, and I think you do have to be. I mean, I wouldn't mind my own robot going out while I'm sitting in the tub.
Yeah,
and, like, talking.
Yeah, send that fucker. Send that fucker out.
Hey, go do that.
But I'm optimistic. I want to think that sense is, I want my own robot to go out and do it. And
it's common.
Sorry, I couldn't make it, but we're kind of there.
We're
it's
there.
Just not physical.
Yeah.
I mean, I could call.
I think China has them. With the conscience and everything.
Yeah.
They got towers all by the military bases with Huawei in them. So when you're, military area, the cell phone tower, our genius people allowed Huawei to put all kinds of parts in every tower by every military base.
Yeah, was that yours? I was watching about drones all made up. Who was I just?
Oh yeah, we had one on here with the drone guy, Samuel Arms.
They're all made.
Oh yeah.
Was that you? Did I watch that?
Yes, he's part of.
I get sent a lot of stuff too. But
I don't.
Yeah.
Might not have been. Yeah, I don't know. We just.
But anyway, yeah. I don't know. It's not a big deal. But it's a crazy world we live in.
Well, they had a robot that could rap, not metaverse, like really rap, and they canceled them. Who signed them? Go back up. Who signed them? I think it was Capitol Records.
Capitol Records, yeah, that was the one.
So these morons, they made a video with the robot with police and just acting like jerks. You know what I mean? So Capitol Records cut them. But when you see that, like, just play one of them. Yeah.
This one.
Like, this is not metaverse. This is like the guy. That's a robot right back there.
Oh, yeah, that is crazy.
And show the one where the robot opens
I
this
might not
jar.
have a job. I don't know.
Left.
I think there's other things I'm kind of dabbling in too, but I mean, like to offset it.
But it's just crazy that he could do that. But before they took it down, it was a real full rap song, like video. Like the robots dancing and all this other shit. Just from this isn't even like a, it's not like a, Elon Musk robot. This is just whatever type of robot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those things that we've been seeing, that drones, UFOs, do you think they're UFOs or do you think they're drones, military drones? What do you think they are?
I haven't looked into that. I haven't seen one personally, but I just watched something else on this too. Aren't they going by like military ships, like all across the country?
Yeah, they seem to be.
All the different countries are seeing the same exact thing. Swoop in and they have zero. Like, it doesn't matter if they're in water. They operate the same.
Well, they're going, 30, 60,000 feet in the air to in the water in less than a second.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they're all by military.
Yeah, so it's like I mean, if the military does that, I was fully not aware. But, you know, so it's definitely could be a possibility that it's something else.
Yeah, see.
But I've never personally had one of those experiences where I went outside and saw something.
Yeah, me neither.
Wait, I feel like, no, I never skipped that story.
Was that?
That was in Mexico.
That was in Mexico. What happens in Mexico stays in Mexico,
I
right?
was going to leave that where it is. That's super funny.
I don't know. I mean, I believe in the whole UFO thing for sure, but
Oh, I feel like there could, I mean, without a doubt, I would never say with confidence there's not another.
But I don't think those are UFOs. I think they're military drones, and I don't think they're ours.
Oh, really?
Personally, that's my personal opinion. Just
see, and they might not want to get us freaked out.
What I gathered.
By saying what it is.
Well, you got to figure.
But why would they publicize it too? It's like, are you trying to hide it? Every time I see something in the news, I'm like, oh, there must be more to this. But
well, right. So this is just my opinion based on what I've learned, not from me, from what people I've talked to. I'm not that smart. But I think they're China, and I think that China, you know, when you're about to go to war, they're going to hit Taiwan. This is their time to do it. They got the perfect guy in to do it. You know, how many chances are you going to get? They've already been waiting 100 years to do it. This is the time to do it. So usually in the time of war, you kind of show what you have. And if you show that you got a drone, they can do that. And they could reverse engineer maybe a craft that landed somewhere or whatever the fuck. You know, that's scary shit. So now why is it the UFO now all the time? Well, if it is military, what better way to deflect than all of a sudden, out of nowhere, now we have UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have UFOs here. Prior to that, never even talked of.
Mm-hmm.
Now you deflect and you say UFO, and then everybody gets excited. UFO, UFO. And they don't think, well, how if it's a military fucking drone that isn't ours?
Well, I found it funny when I was reading an article. It's like they just kept saying, this is not military. This is not military. Like over and over again. So, I mean, I don't know if they're trying to cover something up, if that's what you're asking. But, I mean, or if we should be fearful by any sense. But there's so much going on in the world that you should be, like, just, you know, make peace. No, I'm kidding. No,
Yeah.
I'm not like, you know, I just think it's, you know, just be equipped, I guess. I mean, I don't know if it is China or not.
The biggest one that got me was, I think it was Andrew Bustamante, who was a nuclear missile CIA guy. Like, he was like the head of the nukes with the CIA, like operations and everything else. And we had played them. 4 or 5 of them were like the tic-tac-toe thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're talking, they're just talking like, hey, do you see that? It looks like a lifesaver. Did you see that? It just dropped. But they're talking to each other in the cockpit. No call to FAA or whatever the air traffic control is.
Were they in shock, maybe? Like, I would probably be like, I would forget my duties.
But if
you saw something that's...
But if you're a fighter jet pilot and you see that, when you call, because how if that has a missile on it? When you call air traffic control or call back to base and be like, yo, we got a little bit of an issue here.
Yeah.
So his hypothesis was that either A, it's just bullshit, or B, it was kind of like a B-roll. So like what really was said in that cockpit wasn't about, you know, released to the public. It was me and you were talking over what really, so what was really being said was, say, put on silent. And then me and you were talking into mics and we're talking to each other. Hey, did you see that?
Oh, I see.
Wow, that dropped. So you're not hearing what actually was said, because then that would maybe freak people out.
Mm-hmm.
That was his.
Well, I know for sure they cover up stuff. So, I mean, that's not a doubt in my mind. But, I mean, I would have to know a lot more. And I'm not going to sit at a computer and Google it after my experience. Just
I
kidding.
don't know.
No, I don't know.
I just think China's going to make their move right before the election. And then Biden has a choice. Do you sanction China? Because everybody's going to want you to. You know, the people in the U.S., they're going to pressure him to sanction
those
them.
discussions already could have maybe perhaps taken place, too. Well, again,
Let's just hope he doesn't sanction them.
Yeah. Crisis or, you know, always lead to some sort of reform. So, you kind of, I mean, I think they look at crisis as an advantage, whether they plan it or not. So I think, you know, anything could take place if it's going to be that dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen. You know, what are you gonna do? Did you think Elon would have? Did you think Elon was gonna buy Twitter, or did you think it was kind of like a fluke to begin with, or what do you think?
I thought it was. I just made a bunch of free market jokes on how to adjust things with, by having a free market. Like if the government owned it, you wouldn't have been able to do that, or even start the scare in the first place. So I didn't get further. Again, I don't look into things as much as I used to anymore. Not because I'm fearful, but just because. I mean, I don't know. I let other groups do that. Like I like things like, Project Veritas, or like even somebody as obnoxious, quote unquote, as Trump. I looked at it as valuable to draw attention to things publicly as opposed to figuring out things solo. And
I don't know why people don't look at his policies more. If you don't like him, like the Twitter fingers and what he says, who cares what he says?
Yeah,
who cares about Twitter? Look at the policies. Look how things were when he was in.
Oh, no, I mean, any entrepreneur in any sense that's into innovation, anything, felt the new spirit when he got into office. I mean, after the Obama deal and things like that. And we had the worst of Romney, McCain. I was doing quite a bit at that time, a little bit, but it was... I'm like, what is this? And then I went to, Dallas with the Koch brothers, the AFP, the great group. They were more advanced. I don't know how they're doing now, or where they're at now as far as an organization, but they were really good. But we went there and they had, before they announced, a bunch of speakers come up, and I'm like, oh, these must be who are, going to sign up to run. And I'm like, no. And I went and drank some wine. But I'm like, Trump stepped in. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is going to wake up the people that don't believe in either party anymore, who are sitting at home just super pissed off, but don't believe in any, candidate after. I mean, Romney and McCain they weren't good. It was terrible, in fact. It was like, what, are we trying to get them to win? Like, what is this? But it was all... that it was the internal Republican Party that was doing it, not people actually choosing what would be the best. I mean, I always looked at it. I don't get emotional about any issue or anything. I look at it as what would be strategic, or what's going to happen based off psychology, or even like through campaigning and stuff like that. I'm like trying not to say it, but it's like you look at Trump and it was perfect. He was perfect for that time, but the way they went after him is just. That is. It's almost to set like an example. This is, as an example, is look, if you're not as strong as Trump and you try to do what he just did, you're done. Because we're getting you one way or another. And it's like looking and it's like, oh, great.
And he had the worst guy on the planet against him again. Oh. I know 3 or 4 guys when he was...
Well, that's what stemmed the story.
Well, Mueller, he was U.S. attorney in New York. 3 or 4 of my friends, maybe 4, I know 3 for sure. Mm-hmm. He would go, and this is no bullshit, he would go and get anybody he could to testify. Hey, if you don't testify, he would have a cop pull somebody over. Hey, look, you want to get out of this? Testify against this guy. Blah blah blah.
Well, that's how it's like it's like a weird mob. It's not a good mob.
Yeah, no.
They are like.
So for him to go 3.5 years, my friend Lance, who was he was Jamie Dimon's partner, and there was a murder, and Jamie Dimon went to the feds first. Lance got hit. Blah 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 blah. He actually sold the hospital to, who was the governor here before DeSantis? I always forget his name. Rick Scott. Mm. He sold the hospital to him that Rick Scott has, this Lance. Anyway, so Mueller, he, played that whole game with that one and added all kinds of shit. So if he can go 3.5 years after Trump and he can't find anything, the dirtiest prosecutor in the planet, and when I say dirty, mm-hmm. If he can't find anything, then there was nothing to find. And now you rate him a president?
That's great. That's what made me want to even tell the story about that situation I experienced in college, and that's what makes me so grateful. I hadn't told anybody that. I would look crazy, but we're to the point where it's like conspiracy theories or weird things that you experience are actually like, whoa, that is relative. I mean, that's real. It's
reality.
Real. It's reality that you're living in. And it's like these, when they go after strong people like Trump, or you have groups like, Project Veritas, like I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, Project Veritas, yeah.
Because, they're not,
right.
They have the ability to say, look, you guys are assholes, and this isn't going to work. And the people that look at those people like Trump or that group as like bullies or anything, it's like, no, they're quite the opposite. They're trying to show you who the real bullies are. And they're getting sabotaged for it by the, just even the general. I think more people should stand up. I think more people should get involved. And I think that if more, they say liberals are just too far gone, but even on the right, it's like, get involved then. This is your chance. And once you lose your freedoms, they're gone. So get involved. I don't care how you vote, as long as you
Just
do
somehow.
and show up and, and say what you're thinking and how you're, I mean, kind of hold back your feelings a little bit, but, like what you think is right, but stop getting so damn emotional and get to
But
work.
Alana, did you see
things.
2,000 Mules?
Oh, yeah, no, I've talked to over 2,400 people in Michigan within like a month, not too long ago. And
I don't know how you beat them.
Well, even we would go to, bars, talk to some Democrats that were in there, and, maybe they had a few, but they're like, that was bullshit what they did to Trump. And if the tide turned and the Republicans start doing that, that's unfair to everybody. That takes away, we're a constitutional republic. If you start taking the real vote away from people and doing shit like that and not caring, then you don't count. And that's not a republic. You're out. It's not.
But they don't care. They just want to win.
Some of them do. You get the extremities. It was actually quite amazing that, like, with voter reform, like, a majority of people with a sense of, dignity and individualism, like if you take the vote, they had like 300,000 illegal votes just off in Michigan, right? So that knocks out a whole county essentially, just based off the general vote in the state. You don't have the representation that you actually need in the community from looking at what is needed. You're not getting representation. Like that's not accurate for your state. So a lot of Democrats I did talk to did see that, which was good. But at the same time, they have such a hatred for the other side that they're not allowing themselves to change too much. But again, it was very refreshing to see, not towards the cities, but like in the UP, things like that. Very, very refreshing to see how many people were not only aware, but disgusted from both parties. I mean, it was 90-10. You go down to the cities, and it's like they don't care, and it's almost like what do you like? What
are you in, like a fantasy world or something?
Like well, I mean, it's selfish.
Yeah.
You kind of need. I mean, you got to they need to see a therapist or something going on.
Yeah, really.
I mean, there is like a disconnect completely, and I can say that comfortably because it wasn't everybody. It's not every Democrat. It's not every Republican that is extreme. Like there's a group of people that it might be like brainwashed or something. I don't know.
I think they're brainwashed.
I mean, I think it's like stop.
Yeah.
I mean, and if more people stand up and be like, look, that's inappropriate. That's individual, like in a constitution.
I don't know how you beat them.
I don't know. I could go on about.
Yeah, me too. I
didn't think we were going to get into this, but I could go on hours about just it's a therapy thing. And I'm not a therapist. I'm a hardworking person that's kind of paying for you to go out and act like an asshole. Like that's, essentially the money you're receiving is coming out of my pocket, and you can like me, you cannot like me, but I don't think that's fair you to talk to me like that.
It's not fair.
Or to
there's nothing fair about it.
Take my vote. Like, I'm paying attention. I don't want you taking my vote. Don't wipe it out.
Nothing fair about it.
No,
and
it was 2,000 Mules was incredible.
That one blew my mind because I knew how bad it was, but when you see that, you say, well, how do you beat him? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. How does he get 80,000 more votes than anybody else? Are you kidding me?
Sense. And if you go by precinct too, I was looking at it, just how I used to get real into the numbers, like when my dad was running, or just even after an election. I get really nerdy about it. But if you look at the precinct numbers and the number of people that live there, registered, like just by precinct, you're gonna find errors. Even that, there's a little documentary on a lady that, well, she got raided too. Go figure. But she actually did see, like, you rewire one thing in there, you're never gonna know. I mean, you're into computers and stuff. You could hide that shit for years and then scare people with lawsuits or do whatever you want. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theory. I have to see something to happen, but being rational, it's hard to say it didn't occur.
We'll just say this.
Yeah.
80 million more votes than any other president.
Yeah.
Biden. 80 million more votes than any other president, Joe Biden.
I don't know. Now it just seems a little off.
Okay, let's go through the websites.
Are we done with the websites?
No, pull them back up just so everybody can see them. Try to get you out there. But yeah.
Yeah.
They could have called him. They could have, even if he pushed back about the papers or whatever, they could have said this. Hey, look, Trump, you have 1 week. If you don't hand over the papers that we want, or don't let us come get them, because he had already handed over some, then we're going to do what we don't want to do, and we're going to raid you. But they could have called his lawyers and said, look, you have a week to hand over A, B, C, D, or let us come. and then we're coming.
I think they wanted it public.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean,
but that would have been the right way to do it, is what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. Well, same with, the diary with Project Bear. They tried to give it back. They tried to give it directly back to him, and then a couple of months later, they hit him. After the election, they obviously didn't want attention during the election on it, but, it's all strategy. If you think about it rationally, you can see what they're doing and why they're doing it, but it doesn't make it right. It's completely wrong, and it's very rude. It's rude. It's rude to the people, and it's kind of rude to themselves.
And same with Stone.
Be in that position. And
Stone's my buddy. He's crazy. Yeah. He's my buddy. He's a complete nutcase. But I mean, to rate him and then blow up a fucking place, a place 2 places down from his office, it's like.
I have to use the restroom.
Yeah, we're about done.
Okay. No,
okay, so this is your website. We'll have this in the description.
Oh,
so
nice. Okay,
again,
cool.
If anybody wants to contact you, go through what you'll do for them and everything else.
Perfect. Thank you.
So you'll do broking or what all?
Business brokering. I do leases, investment properties, and land. Land. We got a good development team. You do. Let's see. What am I missing here? Oh, just a general sale. Like if you're selling your business, you're retiring, which is kind of happening a lot down here. We'll sell your business with your building. Whether they're separate, we'll just list them on 2 different sites. But
and cap the can.
Cap
the cam.
That's for leases. Call me about leases. Even if you have I get in trouble for being like consultant all the time, helping somebody through the whole process, and then I'm like, oh shit, I probably should have got paid for that.
Probably.
But
right.
I'm getting,
So,
it all comes.
Good karma.
It all
good
comes
karma.
back in the end. And I used to do these like $500. I'd get paid $500 on a couple 100 square foot space when I first moved down here, and I thought it was super fun. And then all these people are calling me, and they're doing a couple 1,000 square feet, and they're buying buildings, and I'm like, heck yeah. So I mean, in the end, it all works out.
And then Seawinds.
Yep, Seawinds Investments is current.
And now, if somebody wants you,
no,
they want to deal with
go
you
to my website.
Just go to your website. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yep.
And we'll have all this in the description.
Cool.
And I really appreciate your time, and I hope you come back because I got a lot more questions for you. So.
No, we could have fun. I mean, we could just give me a little. No, I don't like getting too into some stuff. I mean, I can't say it never worked like under cover or like it. I just don't talk about it publicly.
No, I mean just like learn more stuff. Not like stuff like that.
No, we talk about real estate all day long.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
That was fun, you guys.
Awesome.
We'll have everything in the description, including your boxing gloves, wherever you got those things from.
That was that title.
They're bigger than you.
I think it was just kind of a fun thing they had going on there.
I don't want any problems.
No. I'm glad you were nice to me. Just kidding.
All right. Thank you so much, Elena. It was a pleasure.